Hello, welcome to the FAFO night. This is called Fuck Around and Find Out. We are not our ancestors. Now, when you got a title like that, you know things are going to get explosive tonight. You know what's going down in Colorland. So I'm broadcasting you from Liberia right now on the outskirts of Monrovia. And I'm having a good time up here for another week. And so I'll be back in the stateside a week from tonight. And so while I have my last week here, I'm enjoying every bit of this, because when you're living in stay in a black majority country, there's nothing like that feeling in the world, that sense of power you have, knowing that you're racially in the majority. And so, therefore, we're going to basically have a good time tonight talking about the issues of today. And, like I said, I'm going to sidestep and segue into a lot of different things. One of the things that I was listening to is the Bag family is in trouble. Ricky from the Bag, Sweet Juicy Daddy, Ricky from the Bag family has been arrested. And I don't mean to put his business all out there, but I got to talk about this, right? This is what happens when you F around and find out, Ricky basically went over to the Gambia and told us how stupid we are, how racist we are, and blah, 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 how America's racist and everybody needs to get out of there. And basically, he's struggling in the Gambia like you won't believe, living in absolute poverty in the Gambia. So, but the thing is, he's basically so arrogant, he's telling us we're better. This is the whole thing about this is where the Pan-Africans I don't agree with, right? I do not agree with ignorant people just going to Africa and call themselves Pan-African. Those days are gone. To me, if you can't contribute to the continent and build something worthwhile, stay here in America. Don't go with Africa embarrassing us, because the Bag family right now is becoming an embarrassment to the black diaspora, that want to actually contribute and build. So anyway, he gets arrested because his son got caught with weed. In Africa, they don't play that stuff, weed, all things, you're going to get involved with weed. You got mangoes growing, you got cassava, you got all this stuff growing. People are starving. They need food and whatnot. You could plant grapes, strawberries. You can plant anything, but you choose to grow weed, So anyway, basically, as they're investigating the weed grown on the Bag family, I guess Black Acres land, right? They came across an unregistered pistol. I asked myself, I thought the whole idea we're going to Africa, we're supposed to be safe and, we don't have to worry about racism, white supremacy, and all the stuff they tell us. So what the hell does Ricky from the Bag need a pistol for? You're allowed to have a rifle, I guess, there so long as it's registered, So shut up, Truco. I got something for you tonight, man. You're gonna get it. I ain't talking down on my people. I'm just talking I'm giving constructive criticism. And the bottom line is this: unlike you, right? I do hold Black America accountable for what they do, the foolishness they do. It doesn't matter my people. My people don't need me friggin' holding their hands, something like that. We're tough. Black America's tough. They could take my criticism, whatever like that, with a grain of salt, So anyway, so we're talking about that tonight. So therefore he goes over to the Gambia, and I'm not, if people want to make a go for it, that's fine. I appreciate his effort and everything like that. But I always say, if you have not made it in America, there's no way you're gonna make it in Africa. I just know that. If you can't make it in a first world country and everything, there's no way you're gonna be able to make it in Africa. I'm just dead serious. So it's, I don't know. He tried, and I don't know how this is gonna turn out. He's facing 10 years in prison. He's 61 years old. That means he could barely be 70 years old when he gets out. And you know what the caveat to all this is? He's going to the same white devils that he could, damn, the white devils, racist devil. He's pleading for the U.S. Embassy to intercede on his behalf. I think his bail is only $160. His bond, the whole to get released is only $160 without holding him. And he wants the U.S. government to intercede on his behalf, whatever like that, get counsel, basically get him off the hook and everything. You're going back to the same people, you said you left the United States to you said I'm a U.S. citizen. So this is what I tell you, right? All you people that are getting these dual passports and everything, when it really comes down to it, if you, as soon as you get in trouble, who are you going to, what passport are you going to claim? It's simple. You're going to basically claim that U.S. passport, as simple as that. That's what I told that moron St. James, I said, look, I traveled to a country when I got a U.S. passport. That's all I freaking need. If you call me a U.S. citizen, you say I'm a citizen of this country, okay, I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna make you I'm gonna make you prove what you say you are. You say you're in the United States. You say I'm a citizen. I was born here. You told me this 14, 13, 14, 15 amendment on that. So I'm basically going to use that to my advantage, and I don't owe this country anything. I don't owe his allegiance or nothing like that. I don't have to agree with his policies. But if you say you are saying this is a land of the free, home of the brave, then I can be whatever I want to be, and you got to protect me under the law. Now, if you don't believe that I'm an American, hey, just rip up my passport, tell me to get on my way. Hey, look, pay me my reparations, and I'll get the hell out of your country. I'll be like this. See, this is an era, this is an age where I saw this one video today. This young sister, beautiful sister, was like, look, white America are going to F around and find out. We're not our ancestors, If you're talking about, they talk about resegregation and stuff like that, resegregation and stuff like that. You don't want us in your stores. You don't want us in your restaurants. You want to hire, look, that's fine. Black America, young Black America right now, like, fine. Because you know what's going to do? Because we got record numbers of Black businesses now. This ain't the 50s. We got record numbers of businesses who would love to friggin' replace Red Lobster or whoever else is out there sucking our money dry every day. We would love to take all our billions of dollars that we earn every day and put it into Black banks. You want to play this game with us? Let's bring it. Black America is ready for these people. We're not the same Black America. We're not fucking these Black immigrants that come over here that are weak, that are scared, and like you got to deport. You can't deport us. So these weird people you just have to deal with. So this is what we're talking about tonight. You're gonna F around and find out. And being an American don't mean necessarily we have to have any special allegiance with the United States. If somebody says, like people said, Iran's an enemy of America, no, we're saying like this. We could play that game right here. Since white America always throws Black America under the bus, they always go to other Black immigrants and say, white immigrants, and everybody else say, oh, we like you guys better than these Black people in America. Y'all so hardworking to be. Since they'll throw us under the bus every second, let's throw white America under the bus. How about this, white America? Iran's not our enemy. Iran's your enemy. Oh, no, we're all American. No, fuck you. There's a white America and there's a Black America. As far as I'm concerned, Iran has never done anything to Black America. So why the fuck should I be an enemy of Iran? When they did this to America, I don't give a shit. They did it to white America. And white America is our number one adversary on the planet. So if they want to go down this road with us, imagine millions of people talking like that. And that's what's coming. That's the next phase of our history is Black people thinking like that. And that's what they fear. So let them play their games, F around and find out. Fuck around and find out. We're not playing anymore. But yeah, Russia, look, simply, I was doing this thing on Russia. Russia was accepting Black people to come do farming because they didn't know a lot of farming techniques. Those African Americans that were going to Russia in the early 1900s or whatnot and became citizens and everything like that and lived a good life in rural Russia, at a time when Black people in America were getting lynched. So why should Russia be my fucking enemy? I don't remember Russia owning any colonies in Africa. I don't remember them participating in the transatlantic slave trade. So this is a new sort of thinking. If they want to go there, this is a different generation we're dealing with. Our old generation, man, they just love themselves some America. They just love themselves some white America, Who cares what Trump is firing Black civil? Who the hell cares? F around and find out. In fact, but it's not black people getting fired. It's actually incompetent whites, gays. The DEI fool is all about the LGBTQ and all that. That's what it's all about. That has nothing to do. They always you fall for the propaganda. Look, affirmative action wasn't about black people. DEI is not about black people. None of this stuff is about black people. It's about certain groups of people getting rich, getting opportunity under the guise of being a disadvantaged group. A disadvantaged group could be anybody. It could be a moron, freaking retard like Chukwu or Antnam. You know, they could classify as a disadvantaged group because it's stupid. You know. So therefore, this miss me with that disadvantaged group stuff. You know, I never benefited from this stuff. I don't know anybody has ever benefited from this stuff. Ask Hustle Smart. Have you ever got anything, a contract, anything just because you're black? No. So what are they talking about? Like I said, when they basically ended affirmative action, they thought, oh, yeah, we struck a blow against the Negro and whatnot. We ended affirmative action. All these Asians out there, they're like, a year later, it said black people aren't friggin' angry. Why? Because the number of black institutions enrollments doubled. We were taking our sports scholarships and everything and going to black schools and making them win. White people lost off a lot of alumni money because they had to scramble to get black people interested in their institutions again, you know? So the bottom line is this, because it's all about selling those tickets and on a football game, that's money. You know, if the black kids ain't going to your school playing on your team, you ain't making no money. So they fucked around and they found out. As simple as that. And this is what the game we're playing right now. We're not playing with these people, you know? And the black immigrants, man, they basically, they got to kiss ass to these people. We don't, you know? We could take our money and go any place with our money, you know? So we could do anything we want. We got institutions. They thought shutting us out of Harvard, it meant something. Like, man, get out of here. Tennessee State University is an African-American HBCU is putting out so many freaking fine graduates in all kinds of high academia and whatnot, almost on the level of Ivy League schools and whatnot. So let them fuck around and find out. We need more black people going to black institutions, black learning institutions and stuff like that, supporting black businesses. So let them fuck around. Let them find out. Now this is so if you say Trump is doing all this is a dream come true. More and more black people going into business for themselves, network with each other, black people, stuff like that. More of us are over here on the continent, building and trading and doing all kinds of stuff. So look, the bottom line, the white man basically his days are gone. Them days of him ruling over us and having a fight, man, get out of here with that Antnam. Now you're a stupid Nigerian living in the UK. Of course, I feel sorry for you because the bottom line is nothing worse than a black man in the UK. They got nothing. Like Jughead said, the black people in the UK don't even have fucking banks. Y'all don't have no institutions. Y'all have nothing. So I don't know what the hell y'all talking about, you know? No, black kids don't want to go to a friggin', if black kids are taught that the white institutions are better, but the white institutions are going to start acting racist, black kids naturally going to say, you know something? Maybe they ain't worth it, you know? The whole idea with to sell white institutions to black kids is to tell us there's this rainbow country that we're all this kumbaya and stuff like that. If black people stop believing that, they're gonna start going to black colleges. You know, we've been caught up in the Barack Obama rainbow and multiculturalism and all this kind of stuff like this. That, my friend, is fading. You know, as more and more black people are turning towards each other, and we're turning towards each other and whatnot. We'll be all right. Black America will be all right. We got our own institutions. We don't need these people. You know. Jughead is not a freaking joke. Jughead is the truth, you know. You don't got no Nigerian bank. Stop it, man. You ain't got nothing in the UK, man. Come on, man. You know. It's like, you got nothing in the UK. You got no black owned anything in the UK, man. You got nothing. You got any movie production companies, any production companies in the UK, you know? Do you have any movie studios? Nothing. What's good, Lil John? Not you. Not the hell you. You know, they're all in here already, man. Antnam, Lil John. Man, we're gonna have a rocky good night tonight, you know. Oh, whatever, and whatever. Whatever. He could try all he wants, man. He ain't gonna do shit to us, you know. Yeah, well, okay. Well, let me tell you something. This Antland, let me tell you this, right? The average worker of Dangote only makes $35 a month. The average African American, even the poor people, make at least $3,000 a month, right? So what does that tell you? You know? What's up, classic man? Nigeria's GDP is like $400 billion. New York City's GDP is 2 trillion, 4 times. Little tiny New York is 4 times the GDP of the entire country of Nigeria, with only 7 million, 8 million people. What does that tell you? You know? So it is what it is. So whatever. Who the hell cares what Trump does and whatnot, you know? No, what you call it, the average Nigerian makes about $35 a month salary. You know, that's about it. That's why you live in the UK. And then you live in the UK because you cannot make a living in what you call, you know? So the bottom line is this. The reason why I can go to Liberia for a whole month is because I'm making the real money in America. I'm successful in America. I run a business in America. I have people working for me in America, you know? So it is what it is. So bottom line is this: Black America is not. You know, I wouldn't trade being Black America to anything else, man. Like what you call. Look, the bottom line is this: let's say $25,000. Do you know less than 5% of the Nigerian population make that? Not even 5%. Less than 5% of the global population makes over 30,000 USD. Most of the money in the world is concentrated in a few countries. The United States, one of them. Most countries over there in Africa, I want to see you guys come up, man, but you guys got to be in denial of your freaking poverty. You know, you guys are impoverished, man, you know. Anytime like the people in Nigeria live on $1 a fucking day. Oh, it's $40 a month, excuse me, $40 a month. You know, but that's why Ant-Man has to live in the UK. Because if he went to Nigeria, that's what he would do. He'd lose some weight because he had to budget his food, you know, he had to cut down his food bill to ration and living on $40 a month. You know, so it is what it is. But $25,000 is compared to the rest of the Black race is actually good. You know, $12,000 a year in America is considered poverty line. It's poverty. Now $12,000 a year in Nigeria, you know what that is? That's the elite. That's Banana Island. That's the rich people, you know? That's the balling out of control. That's where your people take that $12,000 and become scammers and shit like that. But not to bash Nigeria, because Aunt keeps bringing up Nigeria. I love Nigeria. I love Nigerian people. I think they're great. They're great people. You know, just they got poor representation. You know. They got poor representation online. You know. Yeah, $1 25-week raise. Ugh. You know what? You know what the problem is? The president Tinubu, whatever his name is, right, is worth $9 billion. Is worth $9 billion. And he's complaining about the loss of $200 million from USAID for AIDS in his country. Now, if he basically cared about his people, he could take that money, right, put it into a trust and borrow against it, right? Let people basically buy stocks, whatever like that, against that, bond, whatever like that, and then borrow against that. And then when the bond matures, when people make a little bit of money back, and when problem solved, he becomes a guarantor. You mean tell me if he worth $9 billion, he couldn't guarantee, be a guarantor as collateral of $200 million for his people? That's sad. That's sad. and they call Dangote the richest black man in the world. Why the hell he can't come up with that money easily? Become a guarantor. All you have to, he didn't spend no money. All you do is taking $200 million of your money and put it in a trust fund, whatever, as a guarantor, as a collateral, when the money's paid back, whatever like that, people stocks, you raise stocks or sell stocks, or not, people buy the bonds, whatever like that. The principals paid for it and everything, the dividends, everything like that, and people get their money back. Then when it's all said and done, you release that and you get your $200 million back plus interest. So, but the bottom line is these people don't want to, like this. I should really, really doubt these people have the money they say they have, really do, so I don't really understand it, why they keep throwing these people up in my face with that, so I don't know. It's just really strange and odd to me. I just want to see the black man, the black race stand up. I mean, the president of Tshisekedi, whatever the fuck his name is, right? Going to the Congo, going to Donald Trump and saying you could take all our mineral resources. That's not a good look. If there was any justice in this world, his head would be on a platter. I'll say it right now online. If there was any justice in the world, that you tell me you're going to give the heart of Africa, the Congo, the heart of Africa to the white man, to Wall Street, everything like that, to secure their future. Look, bottom line is this, Ant-Man, you have to talk all you want. You Africans are a disappointment. You forget people are a fucking disappointment, Ain't enough that you guys let slavery happen, and colonialism, everything like that. But you got a chance to really build something. You rather hate Paul Kagame, right? And give your country over to fucking the white man. I just don't get it. In a million years, I will never get it, So when people say they're ashamed of being African, something, I was angry with them, like I told Dinas whatnot. Yeah, okay. I get that. But, when, to be honest with you, man, I can't blame a lot of people like Lil Jon for being ashamed of being African, I mean, really. I mean, it's a lot to be ashamed about, like people say, well, no, you have every right to be ashamed, If you're a Nigerian, Congolese, everything, you have every right to live in shame, You have every right to feel like a piece of shit, Lil Jon's ashamed of being black, African, and whatnot. And Lil Jon, I'm not mad at you, Oh, Paul Kagame's a betrayal thief, not Tenanubu and whatnot, Tenanubu was a drug dealer in Chicago. Matter of fact, I used to cop some weed from him when I was up there, man, on Roblox, man. I was copping weed from Tenanubu back in the days, man. I was like, Tenanubu, man, hook me up, man. He was all good. But when I go get my re-up, man, and whatnot, my heroin re-up, whatnot, Tenanubu was out there, man. Now he's president of Nigeria, man, So it is what it is, I'll be ashamed, man. Still depend on government. I would be too, but I ain't dependent on government welfare. That's the whole thing. The straw man. Every black person in America is on welfare. That's all you got, and then No, I'm not mid 70s. I'm in my mid 50s. How about that? They always try to make you. Ant-Man wants to be. He wants to be me being fat. He wants to be me being old. But I'm a very young-looking, good-looking black man from America, man. I'm proud of that, Stop with that. Unfortunately, we are the same race, but we just have two different African Americans and Africans have two different mindsets, right? Because I know for a fact that the matter is, if we was in the Congo was controlled by us, if they tried to that shit like come over there, we burn that friggin' shit to the ground. I know my people. That was, it's not even a thing, the fact that Donald Trump was like freaking, this is actually a consideration. And also, do you know there's a group a British guy who became a South African citizen who is now trying to, the Western Cape of South Africa become an independent nation. If that's about half the country of South Africa. And then meet with the Trump administration. I mean, what part of we are in a full-scale race war don't you understand? Over my dead body, will there be a friggin' cracker stand in Africa before there's an African stand? And all I get is people feedback from people like Chukwo, Chukwo. All he wants to do is me, but he has no problem with the white man talking about he wants a friggin' cracker stand in fucking South Africa. This is an abomination. They're going to take a piece of African territory and make it a racist Nazi homeland. This is insane. And they go into the Trump administration. I'm ashamed I voted for Donald Trump, to be honest with you. No, then again, Kamala would have been worse. I'll give it that. Kamala would have been worse, but but the bottom line is this. This is ridiculous, Yeah, the bottom line is this. They want a cracker stand in what you call, okay, you say it never will happen, right? This guy's meeting with Donald Trump. These Afrikaners and people like that are meeting with Donald Trump, and Trump doesn't know what his ass was elbow when it comes to Africa. That's why I voted for him. I know he don't know shit about Africa, but this time he's been advised by people like Elon Musk, and basically like this, So let's see. Let me find this video. Cape Independence. There we go. This is insane. You gonna tell me this is not insane? And let me tell you something about this Cyril Ramaphosa. This guy, I've always said this guy was a phony, a fraud, everything. The bottom line, in the years apart, he had his hand in the post-apartheid South Africa. And this guy basically made deals with whites and everything like that. And it's all the black leadership, the African leadership in Africa don't give a shit about the masses, whether it's Nigeria, South Africa, anything like that, They don't give a shit about the masses in Africa. They don't. All they do is enrich themselves and get rich. And now they want to pretend like, oh, the white man. No, you've been doing business in bed with them for 30 years. That's why the whites are so emboldened. That's why they're so bold. They think they could do this like this, succeed from South Africa. This is insane. I don't know. And also all the black people from America that's going to South Africa right now, I'm starting to look at you sideways too, So I look at all these black people sideways down there, man. So I look at black people who go to South Africa as Negropeans, to tell you the truth, race traders, Negropeans. This cannot fly, folks. We cannot let this happen, So whatever wherever my little voice carries and whatnot, people listen to this, man, this cannot happen. Shut up, Chukwo. You're a moron.
There was nothing the ANC could hold on to. They have lost. Now they have to learn to work with other political parties in order to achieve their goals. By doing so, it means that each and everything that occurs in the country, they have to be on the table. Before they could make a decision, they have to sit down and brief other people. This is something they've never imagined post 1994 because all this time they've been enjoying the power. The reason I'm saying this is because there is a new problem in town. The problem by the name of Phil Craig, a British-born businessman who is now living in South Africa, and actually he has acquired the South African citizenship. According to their website, Phil Craig is the founder of the Cape Independence Advocacy Group. What does that even mean? It means that they want Western Cape to be an independent state. This group has failed numerous times to convince the South African government that they want to be an independent state. But despite that, they are not giving up. Despite the fact that nobody is giving them the attention that they need, they are not giving up, and they are taking that matter too far. They are going as far as saying that we are going to the White House to ask Donald Trump to intervene on the matter of Cape independence. I mean, how disrespectful can these people be? I'm just going to read one of their messages, which they said, CIAG notifies South African government of its intention to lobby for Cape independence in the US, invites President Deco and Western Cape Premier to raise any objections within the next 7 days. So basically, these people want to go to the US to plead with Donald Trump for him to intervene on the matter of Cape independence. They know the relationship between the US and South Africa, that it is not on good terms. So this is their biggest chance to get Donald Trump to intervene. Phil Craig also had an interview with Newsroom Africa to speak about this thing of wanting to go to the US to ask Donald Trump to intervene. Please have a listen.
Just to inform them that we're intending to go to the United States and that we're going to lobby there for Cape independence. We've taken legal advice. We've always been an organisation that stayed within the bounds of the Constitution and is pushing for Cape independence democratically, peacefully, and legally. So we're about to go to the US, and the advice we received, and I thought it was sensible advice, is look, let's not do anything underhand. We'll put our cards on the table. We'll be very transparent in what we're doing, and we've written to those, the president, the premier, and the minister of DIRCO, and we've said, look, we believe we have the right to do this. We intend to do this, but in the spirit of fair play, we're going to give you full notice, and we're inviting you to make any representations if you believe that we're not entitled.
The guy has a citizenship. He acquired the citizenship. We don't know if that was done through perfect means or, as you know, corrupt means, because the ANC, one of their biggest problem that we really need to criticize them for that is that they undermined the people of South Africa. They undermined us because they had all the power, all the means to change this country. But instead of doing that, they enriched themselves. Now, you look at all the comrades, none of them has a clear record. If you don't know nothing about them, it means that they haven't angered their enemies. They haven't angered those who have power to expose them. Most of them have dipped their hands in those cookie jars because they wanted to benefit.
So we are not being blue-ticked. We cannot be blue-ticked because we are such an important player to the United States of America, as they are an important player to South Africa. From a political point of view, from a trade point of view, and from a whole number of other important points of view. So we are not blue-tickable, if I can use that term. We cannot be ignored. And so we will, and they have sent a message. They sent a note verbal to inform us about the action that they took. So that shows that they have formalized the communication. So we are not being blue-ticked. We are being recognized, much as it first came out in a tweet, but it did finally come out in a formal communication. And we will engage with the United States of America in a formal way. We will do so with deep respect for them and for President Trump as well. We will deal with the US as an important global player.
Now, when you have people like Phil Craig, who wants to go to the US and ask Donald Trump to intervene on this thing of Cape independency, you must know that South Africa has been disrespected. And it is not because the big businessman wants to disrespect us. It is because the people who are leading us have allowed corruption in the country. I mean, how many times have we seen reports of corruption? How many times has the ANC, the government that has fought against apartheid, how many times have they been reported to be in corruption? This is the country that is rich in minerals. But if you look at how they are governing it, it's more like, if you are rich and you have something to offer us, we are going to give you anything you need. They've sold this country cheaply. And unfortunately, the US president and Elon Musk have taken advantage of the weakness of ANC leaders. Donald Trump knows them. Elon Musk knows them. They know that wherever they go, they are entangled in corruption. I'm really not going to lie. I find it very problematic to see mainly white people trying to drive this narrative of an unstable South Africa by trying to go to the US and trying to call Donald Trump, mind you, the person who's been one of the people at the forefront of misinformation. They are going there to call them into the attentions of South Africa, knowing that if they are there, if they speak more about it, then our so-called leaders will be forced to act. I mean, the reason they are not acting, it is not because they have a master plan. The reason they are not acting is because they are trying to beg the US government in corners. They are trying to say to them, well, we understand these issues are very critical, but can you bear with us? We are going to solve it. And in public, they are trying to show a brave face. It is not going to work. The US has them on half clutch. Whatever they do, it is not going to be enough.
So our relations to the United States are going to be put on even keel. So I would like the people of South Africa not to have sleepless nights, have peaceful nights, knowing that we are working on ensuring that this relationship is put on a good footing going forward, because we trade together, we play together in various sports, and we are political interactors in a number of forums, and so we have to deal with each other.
Welcome back. So the Cape Independence.
You know, that's a look. That's very interesting. I'm Ed, whatever. Look, people say black South African get that. I just think that's a done deal. I don't think so. How can you get your country back, right? But the people that's oppressing South African blacks most are the people that look like them. The ANC is the enemy, but they always use the Afrikaners as a boogeyman to keep black people in line. And the Afrikaners don't help you because they are racist people. They would bring back apartheid and stuff like that. They could. They're all about apartheid and stuff like that. They wish they could. And Chuko, shut up. There could be no apartheid in America. We just don't have that culture. So they could try it all they want. That's another thing. If we're going to have serious conversation, man, we got to have serious conversation. There's not going to be no apartheid in America. It's not going to happen. We don't have the same the circumstances in America are not the same as it was when black people were probably 90% poor, living in poor, desperate situations. You could easily segregate them. Now you got black people in corporate America, all throughout the America, high-ranking America, and everything like that. How are you going to segregate people? So therefore the income gap is closed in America. So you cannot impose segregation on people like that. It don't work like that. The market won't allow for it. There's just many black people buying homes and buying cars and everything like that. Yeah. Who's going to put their name on something that says, I'm going to discriminate against black people? Your business will be out of business overnight. So that's not going to happen in America, Chuko. Shut up. Like I said, that's what I said. When you get these stupid immigrants that come here who don't understand America, right? America is not, and now I don't believe that what you call could, I don't believe if America could get away with it, they can, but they know they can't. That's why it's not going to happen, But yeah, America is pretty much already segregated. Most black people do their own thing. White people do their own thing. So what are you talking about? Now, by me personally, if somebody says, something, that restaurant don't like black people, so you ain't getting my dollar. Don't tell me, you have to tell me twice, The only people that be terrified of segregation, whatever like that, are these black people that can't stand other black people and got to be around white people all the time, So ain't nobody thinking about that shit, Nobody think I got better things to do with my money than worry about what white people want with my money and stuff like that, whether they want my money or not. I could solve that problem for them, All right, let me get my brother Wise, man. I haven't heard from him in a while. Brother Wise, what's going on, brother?
Oh, peace, brother. Hey, man, congratulations on your almost monetization. You're growing, man.
Where am I at right now?
796. You're growing.
Oh yeah, it's growing. Yeah, it's almost there, bro. Yeah.
Almost there. I can't wait. We're gonna celebrate big. Yeah, brother, I'm just listening to what you're saying. I just came on like the tail end of it. You're talking about segregation in America. I know the topic is FAFO. We are not our ancestors.
We're not.
We're
We're
not.
not. The bottom line is this. Look, the bottom line is I would love, black people like me salivate over the idea of them trying to pull some stuff like that again. Oh my God. You know how our movement would grow?
Yeah.
Look, fuck around and find out, I would love that people say, oh, they were apartheid. Okay, let them try it. This ain't the same Black America in the 1940s, right? We got well-established Black communities that are growing, and we got large numbers of Black people moving to the continent, moving all over the world. We got social networks. We got everything like that. We start pulling ourselves together. If we basically spent more time among other Black people trading and doing business, you know what we'd be, in a decade or so? We'd be on top of the world. So, like I said, let them F around and find out,
Yeah.
Fuck around and find out.
Hey, brother, your PayPal is still Dwayne McCalla, right? McCalla?
Yeah, I like to say my name on air, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Wait, you didn't like it?
Well, I don't like because people Google me and shit like that, and they start finding my personal business and stuff like that.
Oh, my bad. Shoot, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so it's all good though. But,
Dude, I'm so sorry, dude.
Yeah, that's all good. Like I said, I wish I could change my PayPal to a different tag so I could
fucking idiot, man.
Put it out there. It's all good though.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. Look at my
Shit.
PayPal now. Can I do that? Can I change my PayPal name? Hold up. Let me look at
Yeah,
this.
I wish you could. Yeah, my bad, dude.
It's all good. It's all good. You didn't know. Yeah, you didn't know. But yeah, so it's So sooner or later, this is gonna be monetized, and I got a lot of stuff that I'm doing here, man. It's gonna really help this movement out in Liberia and whatnot, because I'll be able to monetize. Monetize. Hold up. Let's see. Username. Edit. Can I edit that? Edit that. Let's see. Location. Personal.
Yeah, I need to start donating more often, man. I'd be so busy working, trying to pay this loan off. I'm gonna send as much as I can, man.
Yeah, okay. I appreciate it, man. You just sent me $20. Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay, so it did work. Okay, so I'm gonna keep that active. Okay.
Right. Okay, appreciate it. So yeah, that goes to the cause, and I got stuff I can do tomorrow because some of my guy, I play over here. The biggest thing is transportation. Paying for people's transportation.
Yeah. It's a possible way. I didn't like how I said that. We gotta really. I need you to really run some stuff down to me, man, because I gotta be careful with your privacy. Is it kind of any kind of way we could kind of throw this out and then start again?
What? So what out?
The podcast is just so no one could go back, rewind it, and find something out on you, like find out.
Oh no. I can blur that out, but don't worry about it. This is
okay. All right, good. Yeah, because I want to protect your privacy. This is your private life. I got our private life. We gotta be careful, man.
It's all good though. It's all good. You didn't know, so it's all good. Just that last time we had a bunch of trolls in here. What they'll do was found out my company website and they started going on. What's the thing? Kelp, whatever.
Kelp, yeah, and getting rating reviews and stuff and leaving negative reviews. Yeah.
So people like, what's going on here? Because I run a real business here.
Yeah, we gotta be careful, man. It's unfortunate we're out there and you're doing stuff you're doing. You can never truly be inconspicuous because you are out there, unfortunately. So
yeah,
and there's some crazy people out there who just want to destroy, man. They disagree. One thing you say and they go crazy.
I never understand. I can look if I don't like somebody, like obviously I don't like Tariq, but I'm not gonna sit there and try to find stuff and like that. Who are these fucking people that sit there and be like, I'm gonna find out about them and I'm gonna try to.
It's just some weirdos, man. Like you got no life. You're a weirdo. You got no life. You really want you will focus and intensely focus to destroy somebody. Who does that?
Yeah, like that Chantel chick, made a whole channel about me and whatnot, But first of all, I don't have a boss, and I don't have a boss. But it's in the report. I do have a business, right? And people twist my words around And my people, my partners are like, what's this, man? People putting stuff on the website and I got to go explain, no, that's not what I said, blah, blah, blah. Social media. They always say, and we always say, yo, use anonymity on social media, right? You know, like this, you know. So that's like the only thing out there is my PayPal. So I don't put it up here, you know, my real name on PayPal. So already like funny. But the bottom line is, you know, if you really want to know about me, I'll give out my real name, you know, if I have to. But the bottom line is this: when you know, there's people, the wrong people, not really people that listen to me on a regular basis, you know. I don't have to worry about that. It's these people that come here once in a while. Oh man, I'm gonna find out who this caller is. Look, you can try all you want, you know. People, I had this white supremacist guy last year, Assimilation. He was calling me, he was calling my niece and everything like that. Blah, 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 blah.
I need to talk about that guy. Was crazy, man.
Oh, you remember that?
You know, actually, I had a problem. I never found out who he was. I don't have that kind of advanced computer networking skill, but he hijacked my name and was saying that I was calling y'all the N-word. He hijacked my name. And I was like, I had to call Brother Bomani and say, bro, that wasn't me. Yeah, because at that time we were on Bomani's network. Yeah, and so he hijacked my name.
So you got all these weirdos out there, and the bottom line, they don't seem to understand, right? We don't give a shit. Look, do you ever see me go on a white supremacist and talk? I don't talk to them. So if I'm not talking to you, I don't give a shit whether he comes on there. Well, what I think is, I don't know why Bomani even had him on. I'm like this, on my just channel right here. You think he'll come on me? I'm like, what? Get the fuck out of here. One of the guys tried to come on my show. I seen him in the thing. It says redneck, something like. I was like, I kicked him out. Nope, you're not even getting him.
Get him out of there.
I don't even want to hear what you got to say. Don't even say hello.
Yeah. You know? Hey, like we don't need that kind of energy, man.
If you're not black, you're not down with us. I barely put up with people like Chukwu. The only reason why I took about Chukwu was because at least they're black, you know.
And right. I mean, Chukwu, he said he can say some crazy stuff, but I don't think he means like any like hatred or anything. I just think he's not informed and ill-educated.
Like I said, but I do not play with white supremacists. You know, I do not play with them. There's really nothing we need to talk about. Nothing to discuss. We don't need to talk about anything. You know.
They're dangerous, man. You saw what happened out there in Ohio, right? With them brothers and sisters finally arming themselves.
That's what I said. Fuck around and find out.
They did the right thing. That's what you got to do.
It's like them brothers who took on the dudes down in Alabama. Remember that?
Yeah, that we call that little
the boating thing, you know.
The boating issue, yeah. That dude was swimming across the water.
That dude came out like Aquaman and whatnot, you know. Yo, that was fuck around and find out, man. Fists were flying and like that. The bottom line is, people have to learn. Black America, we are not our ancestors, you know. We don't give a shit. Even a lady, the white woman thought they were protected. It was like, blip, somebody said, blip. Knocked their ass out.
Brother, we're not our ancestors, brother. No offense. We're not our grandparents. Some of them.
We're not our parents, grandparents on that. If you want to do this shit, we'll give it to you, you know?
I give it to anybody. When I was in LA, brother, I was putting up hands on people. I can't, and no offense, I don't mean being racial, but even the Mexicans, they try to test me. Oh, I showed them, hey man, back up. Yeah,
the bottom line, just knock them the best connection you could ever make is your fist towards somebody's jaw. You know, yeah. I'm dead serious. These days and times, man, we guys got to put fist to jaw, you know?
Hey, brother, I ain't trying to put my business out there. I know military science, but I just bought me a gun safe. I just got a few more guns. I'm not playing.
Yeah, I'm playing with nobody, you know? This is days, fuck around and find out. You know, we're not, Black America is not playing. And that goes for the Negroes acting gangbangers and all those other people. They got too.
You heard what happened to Big U, right?
Who was that?
Big U. You heard what happened to Big U?
Yeah, he was accused of running a racket, you know?
Yeah, Rico, man. That fool. Yeah, I mean, lock him up, dude. He was intimidating people in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but he was acting like a community activist.
Yeah, like a charity or something.
Yeah, so the bottom line is, look, if you're going to do it right, man. If you're not, stay out of the movement, you know? Well, people, like I said, Black America is in a real serious mess, you know, when it comes to stuff like that. The people most dangerous, I don't have a problem with the white. People always think that we got to worry about the whites, but no, the real enemy is among us, you know? Mm-hmm. Because the white supremacists, we see them a mile away, man. They ain't going to be no problem for us, you know? They start that mess and whatnot. We know how to respond to that shit, you know? That's what Black America is right now. But we really have to figure out how to deal with people that's fucking us up from within. You know, did you see that Dice show last couple of days? All this, we were already here. Slavery never happened. These motherfuckers are growing. You know.
Wait, and the Dinah show?
Yeah, Dice show. He's even doing a show about it tonight. You know, all these
Or
people.
is he talking against it? I know he's very pro-African. So
yeah, he's pro-African, but I'm saying that he has guests on there that we've been debating for the last couple of days.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah. I don't watch the show as much, but I heard about them dudes. I hope we're already here. We're Native Americans. We're Choctaw Indians and crap.
You know, I said I added Alquan, right? He says there's no slave ships. I said, well, what is the ships that brought the Europeans here? Whoa, blah blah. See, the bottom line is this: you go to Portsmouth, Virginia, right? You go downtown, go to the port, right, the docks right there where they built the amphitheater. That was a slave market.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize that, right? The planks that the slaves walked down off the ship are still there. Do you know that? That's scary. When you look at the city map, right, and you zoom in on it, and you look at the thing and say at the pier, and you say, and there's no doubt about what you're looking at. You know, just a plank, a walking plank, real thin. It's like 2 feet wide. It's like a thin walking plank. You know, it's 2 feet wide. Narrow walking plank, you know, that basically just, you know, where they pull the slaves out of the bottom of the ship, you know, and they walk down down the pier, you know. There's no doubt in your mind when you look at that thing what you're looking at, you know. That just set the pulls on my spine. When I looked at that thing, I was like, damn, that stuff is still there. It's still there in the ground, in the water.
And they try to use the theory that, hey man, we never found a slave ship intact, which is a good argument. Can you argue against that?
We actually have slave ships in Portsmouth, slave ships that are still there. You know, slave ships are still there.
Well, it's a replica though. It's original.
No, it's a real slave. Preserved. It was not replica, but preserved. You know,
it's just one. It's one. How many?
Yeah, so it's a couple of them. It's like 2 of them.
Okay. Yeah, and it makes sense. They wouldn't keep all those slave ships because there's no need for them. Eventually they'll dismantle them.
Now that Norfolk and Portsmouth every May has Harbor Fest. Harbor Fest goes back to where the slave ships came in.
Okay,
Harbor
so they do it.
Celebrated, you know, right now what they do is they basically fill the harbor from Norfolk. The thing they have people sailing boats from Norfolk, the ports in Norfolk to Portsmouth, whatnot, you know, across the river, Elizabeth River. To Portsmouth, and that's Harbor Fest. They come in from the ocean. They come from all over. You know, that's Harbor Fest. Harbor Fest originated in. There was a time when the slave ships arrived. You know, that's still going on. So
we can go down there and tour a slave ship. You can see everything. Go on the bottom of it and see where they kept the slaves.
It's scary, you know. It's scary. The chains, everything is still there.
Still there. Okay, cool. See, there's proof right there. Shit, they're trying to say dinosaurs don't exist, but obviously dinosaurs did exist. We found the fossils.
Yeah. So bottom line, yes, so it is. You know, this is sad. Now, Lil John's in the chat room. What slave ships? The slave ships your ancestors on, nigga. You know.
Yeah, you see a lot of Hebrew Israelites talking that stuff that we're not from Africa. We're already here. And I'm like, okay, fine. Go join those Native American groups and get rejected.
Yeah, go over there so they can call you a nigger, you know, blackie, a monkey, whatever like that.
Exactly. Them Native Americans are racist. I knew that in school. I'm like, why are you walking around with feathers on your head, bro?
The most racist I ever faced when I was growing up was Native Americans. And they had a hatred that was way deeper than the whites, you know? I mean,
it's crazy,
really,
man. And I talk shit to them Native Americans too. I would say racist thing. I say, well, I got wiped out, y'all ain't shit, and they'll shut up eventually. But you know, you gotta fight fire with fire.
Yeah, the bottom line, they basically, especially the ones here on the East Coast of the United States, man, God, you talk about racist, man. God damn, they gotta hate. I say, what did black people ever do to you? They really hate black people, you know? Like,
man, black people are so. I feel so sorry for the black mind. It's like it's so destroyed. We have so much self-hatred. It's crazy. We try to love other races people more. You get rejected, and then you try to go back to the black people. Now, someone like me and you'd be like, kiss our ass, F you, go over there back to them.
Yeah, I don't really care. You know, I find strength in my own people, you know?
Exactly.
So when I do these shows and whatnot, and I'm talking to brothers from all over, that's what gives me strength. When I don't want to sit and talk to no Native American. I want to talk to people like that.
And I respect their struggle. No offense, but if you don't respect our struggle, then to hell with you.
People that come here and taught by the white man that our struggle is not legitimate. You know, that's the first thing people talk. You know, Like I said the other night, Rick, I broke it down, right? I said the reason why you have problems in America, Black America has problems, right? And Black immigrants don't is, see, we have communities here, that we hold down. These are places where we live. We have stakes in, we have generations of people coming up. We can't just walk away from that to move into a white suburb all the time. We got to hold these communities down. Even when we move out, we got to come back, and what I'm saying, that, And so I was saying to myself, when I was coming up, South Jamaica, Queens, I said to myself, why do we have to move out of this to move to a white neighborhood? I think about it now, right? Why couldn't we just stay right here and build? When I imagine if there were businesses coming here, truth is, though, nobody wanted that. Nobody wanted that for us. They do not build factories or businesses in Black areas. They don't. So therefore, they build something in the suburbs. And the Japanese, when they came over here, one of the things strategic they did was make sure they built factories where there's not a lot of Black people. The Japanese did that,
Yeah, they're racist, yeah.
Now they study their consultants and everybody, they advise them, you don't want to do factories with Black people because Black people don't work hard, and blah, blah, blah. The Japanese bought it. And that's what they did. They didn't build factories in Detroit. They went to places like Tennessee, Missouri, and places like that. They built for plants and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, we're saying to myself, if Black people, if you're not building, because we're only concentrating in a few areas, Detroit area, Gary, Indiana area, Pittsburgh, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, we're only concentrating in a few areas. If you're not building, now a success story was Mayor Maynard Jackson. When he was mayor of Atlanta, he could not get no businesses to come there, right? So you know what he did? He went overseas. He went to Germany, Sweden, and he built the Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, right? And he got foreign investors to come to Atlanta, and invest and put Black people to work. See, America basically always want to make sure, they always want to talk about our problems in our community, but they never want to invest in us. They want to invest in us. And then they don't give us the means to pull our own people out. We should have like 5 to 15 billionaires in America investing in Black communities and whatnot, But
yeah, bro. That's where I'm gonna bring that factor thing. As we talked before on the show, a lot has to do with redlining.
Yeah.
So if you did have the
housing loans, it was also where businesses are located.
Right.
Redlining is also where they tell people, if you want loans, you don't put your factory here.
Exactly. It's all about not empowering Black people. You don't want to systematically empower us. It all comes down to understand white supremacy, man. That's one of the rules. Don't empower your,
And the bottom line is, this is why I try to tell people like Chuko, he don't understand that, Him and Principe don't understand it. Everything. Oh, Black people do this and Black people do that, Oh no, we got
they're not educated, man. Them Africans are not educated. They'll find out. They're gonna F run and find out.
Mostly like Afro dumbass. These people are ignorant, They got these ignorant Black immigrants that come over here thinking they know us or whatnot, Bantu Bandinka, what's going on, bro?
What's up, big bro? I just calling in. Thought it was an interesting topic, so I just dropped through.
Oh yeah, I knew you'd probably be out tonight, Fuck our ancestors, fuck around and find out, We're not our ancestors, we not the type, man, What you call my mom was Black. Woo-hoo, my mom was Black. Bottom line is this, man. And we're not the type that not make excuses of Black America, but that's just the way it is. We didn't ask for none of this shit, White man has all the wealth, power, everything like that concentrated in his hands, right? He decides what gets built, who gets built it, who gets the wealth, where's the opportunity. They decide that. They systematically decide who's going to, they pick the winners and losers of society. We don't do that. All we do is live off their excess and graft and the crumbs from this table. That's all we are. That's just it. And we made something out of those crumbs they gave us. We made something out of it. We was able to build a makeshift middle class out of the crumbs and nickels and dimes they left over for us. So that's what it is. But so people will tell us, oh, y'all should be doing this right now. You're so I hate when people come overseas. They're so ignorant about America. y'all should be doing this. Black America should be doing this. Black America, do you understand this?
They're going to find out. The longer they live, they're going to find out why it's like that.
Yeah, it's white day because the bottom line. You know what it is? You know what? I don't know, but because a lot of black immigrants move into white adjacent communities, right? And they're not feeling. They don't have to go. If you don't have to go move into a black area that you've been there for generations, right? You can move right to a white suburb, whatever. You're not feeling the same thing as like you're part of Black America, you know.
But they do experience racism, though.
They experience racism, but it's like, hey, but I can go back to my nice house over here. And when they get in the house, they basically practice their own culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they're completely unassimilated, you know? They're completely unassimilated. When you go to anybody's house, a Liberian house, a Nigerian house, they're basically doing the foods, everything, the music, the news, everything. They're completely unassimilated into the culture, you know? Black America are forced to assimilate into their culture, you know? Our communities are actually part of American culture, you know. So we have to deal with racism and stuff like that from white people on a different level. It affects us on a different level because we have to deal with them. Black immigrants really don't have to deal with them because they have their own culture and land to fall back on. We don't have that, you know. So that's what I'm trying to
it does affect them, though. It does affect their mindset, though. At some point, it does affect them.
Somebody like Amara, remember Amara that was on a couple weeks ago? Now somebody's been coming to America since he was a kid, right? And basically, you know, now African black men probably a little different, right? Because despite everything, you're still phenotypically a black man, you know. And you know when if you're not, you're a fool. You have to know the little microaggressions that all white people have when they see the black body, you know, the fear, you know, what is this guy? They think black people as a race are animalistic, you know, and so therefore, if an African says he doesn't experience that, like when people basically make it seem like Africans are friggin' animals and stuff like that, they make black people like animals and whatnot. If you're a black African and whatnot, and you're phenotypically very dark skinned or whatever like that, you fit the stereotype of what they call Mandingo, you know? Whether you want to or not, you could be educated and everything. All the white people look at is your phenotype. That's the sad thing about racism in America. They don't care about your personality. They don't care about your education. It's all what you look like to them, you know, initially. Now, once you break the ice and find out you got a French accent, you speak a different language, and you're not like the rest of these Negroes, you know. But for the most part, that only lasts for so long, you know. You know, so
you broke that down pretty well. I like how you said that. That was very well explained.
Yeah, it really is. I'm telling you right now, I know there's people. The bottom line is this: just like when you see a black guy, right? And he's they will do these comedy skits, right? Dude could be like a thug, right? Then he starts talking like with a intellectual voice. You know what I'm talking about? They switch it up, you know, but that's how white people see when they do black immigrants, right? They say, oh, black, they didn't hear the voice, but oh, you're one of those. Okay, you're from the UK. Oh, yes, I went there last year. And I was like that. I can relate to you, you know, like that. But then they get around and say, you're not like the local people. You're not like these people, black people, you know? And I had this one Moroccan chick that years ago I was dating, right? And basically she was like tan. She could be a light-skinned black woman, right? Anyway, she was dating this white guy, and the white guy kept saying the N-word, and she said, I don't like that. He goes, well, you're not black from here. You know? So then the white people try to make a distinction between them. Then smart people realize if you don't like them, you don't like me. Like me. Personally, if somebody came up to me and say, man, fuck Nigerians, fuck Ghanaians, I don't like Africans, if a white person says that, I'm going to look at you sideways like, if you don't like them, I know you don't like me, but Africans don't think like that, you know? You know, because I know for a fact of the matter is you don't like them because they're phenotypically black and you got a problem with their phenotype. I'm from the same phenotype, so you must have a problem with me too, you know?
Exactly.
But Africans
Africans wake up. I mean, you know, that fool Afro dumbass, if he's like talking to that, go date a white woman, go to a white area, and then come back and talk to us.
Go take that white woman and go. You know, in southern Jersey, there was like a whole bunch of Kenyan guys that were found hung.
Yeah.
You heard about those two?
What?
those two murders in Georgia. Two good-looking young black kids were like twins that were found murdered, and the police are Georgia police trying to cover it, saying it was a suicide. No, they were murdered. They were
You
murdered.
said this was in South Jersey?
No, well, a couple of years ago, there was South Jersey. There was a bunch of Kenyans that were found hung, and they tried to say they were under the pressure from their family and all. I said, yeah, but it was happened way too many times.
You know what's funny, bro? I believe it because like I've been to South Jersey like mad times.
South Jersey is very
it looks like it looks like it's country and stuff. Yeah, like you down south and stuff. Yeah.
You do not want to be stranded in South Jersey. That's a dangerous place. That part of
it's
Delaware,
crazy. It's a lot of black people that live there though. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, my cousin Marcus Overton, he lives there. I said, how the hell you live in South Jersey, man? Move out of that place. South Jersey is just freaking dangerous, man. That's a freaking dangerous place.
It's crazy because like a lot of people from like North Jersey or like New York and stuff.
Yeah, North Jersey, like New York, upstate New York and everything. South Jersey is like the fucking Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is like, they say Pennsylvania is Detroit. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and Alabama in the middle. Pennsylvania is a redneck, it's like having Alabama up north, and a lot of people from South Jersey come from Pennsylvania, they come from Delaware, they come from that area, West Virginia, they come from all over places like that, So
they pay really good out there. That's why.
So Truco says Africans don't commit suicide like that. That means they were murdered. They were murdered. If they don't commit suicide like that, then what does that tell you? Yeah, they were hung, man. I said, there's a lot of Kenyans being found hung,
And see, Afro Demos won't speak on that. He won't talk on that because it's going to hurt him because that's the reality.
Yeah, that's the reality.
He won't speak on that. You're going to scare him.
And the bottom line is he goes his black behind someplace in the wrong place. That's going to be it. So he knocked on the wrong. Remember a couple of years ago, a Liberian boy knocked on the wrong door and got shot?
Oh, that was a Liberian boy? I didn't know that.
It was Liberian. And
I thought he was like Black American.
What I got mad about Tariq was like, why we care? He was FBA. I'm like, and then somebody said, Tariq, Liberians are actually Black Americans, right? He's like, oh, okay. I said, what the hell does it matter if he's Black American or not? That's a little boy who actually on the wrong doorbell and some racist shot him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I like this. It was a stupid thing Tariq goes, well, we shouldn't care about him because he's not one of us. Some stupid shit like that. He said, I was like, damn, what the fuck, man, Tariq? What the hell you mean by that? Yeah, there was like I said, there's a lot of people. Like I said, that case in Georgia, you don't see black people up in arms. Those two good-looking kids, man. I'm no homo or like that. These are two good-looking. These kids are straight-A students, on their college students, everything like that. Had that life ahead of them, or not. And the police are gonna try to say it was a suicide. What the hell? Come on. This is ridiculous.
So they got hung, bro. Yeah,
thank God. I forgot what happened, but they got lost or something like that. And they got killed by the Klan. They tried to make it seem like it was a murder, a sort of suicide, whatever. They committed suicide.
So they have the Klan in South Jersey? Wow.
No, this happened in Georgia. But the Klan is. This incident happened in Georgia, but South Jersey, yes, there is Klan there. That is Klan country. Yes, South Jersey is Klan country. Anywhere past exit 7. Exit 7 on down, that's Klan country.
Hey, we gotta really communicate about these hate groups. I'm out here in Texas, man. Where they are out here, man.
Yeah, they're there. But the thing is, though, like Ohio, this is what's so dangerous, right? They knew for a fact of the matter is they were like amped up about the Haitian situation. This is why Black America did the right thing, right? Although we don't really fuck with Haitians like that, right? We understand. These people use Haitians as a prey because we understand they don't like none of us at all, So therefore, when these people start coming out, whatnot, with their racist shit, whatnot, we acted accordingly, Although we may not like Haitians, we get along, whatnot, but in this incident, whatnot, when you got neo-Nazis and whatnot, it's time to strap up, As simple as that, because they're not going to make a distinction between a Haitian or Black American. That's the reality of America. A lot of Black immigrants don't see it like that. They really think they're protected with their little accents and shit like that. Their little accent. They can speak French and You know, I'm from Martinique. That's for dumbass or whatnot.
And the day you're black. You're black, got big lips, nappy hair, dark skin, you're black.
And he's black as the ace of spades. Talk about he's dead. You know, I mean, come on, man. Let me get Jonathan on. All right, Jonathan, where you at, man? I thought you was coming to Liberia, bro.
I'm coming. We had a consulate appointment to go to.
You got a consulate when?
Consulate appointment. You know, the embassy appointment.
When?
Yeah, the embassy appointment is on April the 11th.
Oh, see, I'm already gone by the time you get here.
You're gonna be gone. He says it's gonna be there for 2 months.
Nah, I'm gonna be in a month, and like I said, it didn't work out like that. You know, I'm not gonna try to be here in rainy season. I'm probably come back in September. You know, dry season starts, man. I don't not like want to be in the rains, man. Hell no. You know, hot, mosquitoes, everything like that. I'm out of here. April, I'm gone. You know, I'm gone next week. But I'll come back in September. You know, I'll come back for September too. I got a house here now. You know, I got a house here now, so now I come back. I don't have to pay no hotel fees and like that. My next thing is getting a car. You know, a car here. And then I'll still have a driver because I ain't no way I'm driving on these roads myself. You know, I have a driver. I have my driver. I love my driver. You know, I have a driver, you know. So once I get a car, my next move is to get a car. I hope I have that here, but have that by next year. Buy a car. Go over here. Once I have a car, now I got a crib, a nice crib, a car. I can come here anytime I want to. I can come 3 times a year if I want to, you know. So or I can stay for 2 months next year, you know. Next year I might stay through the rainy season, some part of the rainy season, you know, as long as I'm inside. I'm like, I ain't freaking going from hotel to hotel and shit like that, you know. So it is what it is. You ain't got the skin for Africa, dude. I got the skin for everything I need. But yeah, so it's like I said, it's not Liberia. You know, the temperature is in March. It's only like in the 70s here, you know. Like nice and cool and breezy out, you know. At nighttime, it's only like in the mid 70s. So it's nice. You know, Liberia is nice. Now next month, you know, end of the month, by next month, it's gonna get hot. You know, I want to be out of here before then when it starts getting hot, 100-degree weather, 90-degree weather, and stuff like that. The best time to come in Liberia is like January, February, March, because the temperature is cool. You know, nice cool nights and stuff like that. So it's really fun. So the topic is fuck around, find out we are not our ancestors, you know? And so, like I said, as people talk about, oh yeah, they're gonna bring back apartheid. Let them fucking do it. Let them try to bring apartheid. Let them get rid of DEI. Let them do all this stuff like that. We are not our ancestors, you know? You don't seem to understand. We are not our ancestors. We're not gonna sit back and be like, oh, woe is me, woe is me. You're gonna see that Black America is not to play with, you know. We're gonna take our $1.5 trillion and start spending it ourselves. That's the reparations.
My thing, sorry to cut you off. My thing is, when we're gonna start building some institutions, some actual infrastructure, man.
Yeah, check us out. Here's Truco. So Africans don't see themselves victims of oppression. Yes, they are. You see Africa lately? You see the poverty you got in Africa, Truco? That's oppression. There's also technology and investment apartheid, right? They don't invest in Africa. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why Africans are poor. This is why Africa is the most least developed continent on the world, because they don't even understand they're being oppressed. We understand we're being oppressed, you know? Africans don't get it. You got Africans who, like I said, I would like to tell, when I see a Nigerian, Liberian and whatnot, I would like to tell them, yeah, like, but to be honest with you, I'd be like, yo, man, yeah, you're right. You are fucked. You know, I look at South Africa, right? The Black South Africans ain't got a chance. Somebody said the Black South Africa gain. No, because the people that are oppressing the Africans the most are their own people. As long as you got people in Africa that basically get rich, a few people who get rich, the last people basically are going like this. Yeah, they're being oppressed. What do you call Nigeria? That's oppression, man. That's like the poorest country on the planet, man. That's oppression. You know, people born in Nigeria, imagine that being born and you don't have a chance. My brother Wise right here, you say you do security, right, Wise?
Yeah, I do.
You make good money, right?
Pretty good money. I do armed, all that stuff. I'm a supervisor now.
You got a leg up in society. You know, you got stuff that you could do and something like that. You can put yourself. But imagine basically knowing that you're gonna die in abstract poverty. You know, no woman's ever gonna want you. No one like that. You can't. All your dreams, everything like that, are just gonna be deferred. That's what I see here. You know, young men know they're gonna be old men in 20 years, and they're never gonna achieve their goals and dreams. That's oppression. You know, Truco said, "Oh, Africans don't see it." You can't just not be oppressed when you come to the white man's country. You're oppressed in your own country. You know, that's why Truco and Ant Nam got to live abroad. You guys are oppressed in Nigeria. You know, just hate to tell you that, man. You're suppressed. You know, once you understand
But my thing is with Nigerian people, why don't they just stand up and do something about it? Why are they taking that?
Well, the bottom line is they're oppressed. When people are oppressed, they're beaten. Their spirit's broken. You know, their spirit's broken. You know, so they can't get up. They're like, oh, I'd love to get up there and do something, but man, the society, they don't think. That's why they bring that mentality here to us. We're not gonna sit here and be fucking bullied by these white people. Get the fuck out of here. We were here when this country was nothing. You know, we built this country. You know, so we don't sit there. We owe white America something. You know,
but we're fighters, man.
Yeah, so we are. We're at the we're not good pets, Chupo. We don't make good pets. Black America don't make good pets. We're the most dangerous, most violent black people on the planet. I'm proud of that shit, you know. Just keep being dangerous, keep being violent, man. Let them fear us, you know. That's the thing you people understand. They must respect and fear us, you know.
And fear is respect.
So they gotta watch their step, you know. With Africans, they just walk all over them. They say whatever they want. Because I watch their interactions when they're over here and with Africans and whatnot. It's like, average African don't even know he's being low, especially with these Lebanese, right? And I go into a store, right? It's like I go into the Lebanese supermarket. They always have the air-conditioned supermarkets in here. I love going there. You know, I go to the Lebanese supermarket, right? And today, right, just later earlier tonight, this Lebanese guy, two cute little black Liberian girls were a cashier, and the Lebanese boss, whatever, he was sitting in the front, and he was just talking real loud. So I looked at him like I was checking him, like, how the fuck? I look at him like, who the fuck are you raising your voice to? You know, then he kind of shut up, right? He kind of like calmed down a little bit, you know. I don't know, he was just raising shit like, oh man, blah blah blah, and they're all running around like they're scared, you know. I looked at this motherfucker like, who the fuck are you raising? Looked at him like, who the fuck are you raising your voice to? You know? And so he just shut up. And the girl noticed that too. The cashier girl, she noticed that too. I just looked at this guy like, who the fuck are you? And he looked at me like, oh, okay, I know you ain't from around here. You know, I looked him dead in his eye. Like, who the fuck are you raising your voice to?
Well, this is in Africa?
Yeah, I'm in Liberia right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because they already know you're not about to play. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so today, man, yesterday, I went to stop at this place, get a sandwich or whatever like this. It's a Lebanese spot. They have good food, right? Where Philly chilies up. And the owner outside, man, I mean, these Liberian girls are so fucking hot, man. Holy fucking shit. And man, I mean, I get, man, I'm a little jealous, right? This guy's freaking hugging on these Liberian girls, like, you know, like, I'm like, what the fuck, man? What the hell? And he's like this, like twice. These girls are young, like they're like they're only 19, 20 and whatnot. This guy's like in his 50s when he's like hugging on them and whatnot, like trying to kiss him and all like this motherfucker, like, what the fuck is going on here, man? You know?
Yeah, because that's just like the culture now. Like, they definitely using him for his money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but he's the owner. I think he was the owner. You know, standing outside as a pizza shop. You know, it's a really good place. I go there because my boy Ross told me I was friends with him. You know, but I'm like, hey, maybe I don't understand the culture here. Maybe it's okay for Lebanese guys to fucking mess with black girls, whatever, like that. I don't know. I don't know the culture, so I can't come in and intervene. All I know is being from America. If I see a white guy with a young black girl, you know, I got problems. You know. And I make it be known. But here, it's different culture. I don't understand the culture. So, hey, you know, it is what it is. You know, so it is what it is.
Yeah, but, I think, what is it? Aren't like African people, like, don't they like date out the most? I think so, right?
They got what?
I said, don't they like date out the most? Like, don't they swirl the most? I think.
Well, you know.
Isn't that like statistically backed? I heard.
Well, in the UK, in Europe, they do. You know, the African guys don't make any balls about bringing home a white. You see all these TikToks you see with black guys and white girls, mostly African guys. They do not mind getting with white chicks, whatever like that. White chicks, like you got this one girl that's on TikTok. She goes to the village, I think it's Uganda, and she be doing these dances and whatnot. And they be doing their thing. I guess she's a blonde, blue-eyed chick. He's an African dude, and they be doing these dances and moves when they're on TikTok and Facebook and stuff like that. There's a lot of couples like that. They're mostly African guys. There's not a stigmata with them as far as like interracial dating and stuff like that. Here in America, it's a little different. But let me tell you something. I don't try to impose my view on race on other people. I don't. Unfortunately, when I go to places, I am uncomfortable when I see that. But I have to realize I can't have the American experience on the world. I'm superimposing my values on them.
Facts,
You didn't call slavery. That's why I say we need a nation of our own. Because you might go to Ghana, right, and you wonder why. Geez, why are these Ghanaian people? They're talking Pan-African, but she got a white Australian boyfriend. And you say something about it, you're racist.
Yeah, but how though, right? Like, isn't that like the first step to blackness? Is like you have to love a black partner.
Africans don't see blackness the way we do.
Yeah,
they don't.
Yeah, mixed people too. They like that too. Like this mixed girls trying to like call me like racist. I'm like, how? Like I just prefer black women more.
Do not see race the way African Americans do because of our history of trauma and stuff like that, slavery, and Jim Crow. There was a couple of incidents where black men were killed in America just for looking at a white woman, just for looking. Just for looking at a white woman and went out the wrong way, bumping up against them. The bottom line is all a white woman had to do is say, he did something to me. That's all that she had to say, and she literally had power of life and death in her hands, and say, this boy says, well, sass me. But next thing you know, the posse, round the posse up and that dude is dead, and there was not a damn thing black people did about it. A lot of black people did? They went to places like Harlem, Detroit and whatnot, and that seething anger and hatred produced groups like the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? That's where that came from, Most of the people that basically, the black radicals came from the Deep South, because it's the culture of America, the racial culture was probably the most bitter in the New World. It was more bitter than the islands, South America and everything. The culture of America was probably the most bitter in all the world. The racial antagonism between black and whites was probably the worst in the world. That's why it's something we're still going through to this day. That's why people, if people feel like they, I think I'll take a pass on this kumbaya love of white people shit they keep forcing down out there. That's why I said Barack Obama was not the good president for us because he didn't understand our history. He was like, oh, we all coming. No, it ain't just a few rednecks. It's all of them, Barack Obama. We just simply don't get along with these people, It's like, especially the white liberals. They're the worst. Why? Because the white liberals are like this. Like, you ever notice that black people probably get killed more in places like San Francisco and New York, two liberal cities, right? The reason why is because the liberals believe in multiculturalism and all stuff like this, kumbaya, fake kumbaya stuff. But what they don't understand is this. What we don't understand is this. The liberals believe that the racist white people and the non-racist white people and black people can all coexist together. That doesn't work. Why? Because those racist people usually end up in positions of power, and authority. And you're going to give somebody a racist a power, authority, a badge, and a gun over black people, right? And say we're living in the one beautiful harmonious civilization. No, it don't work like that. That's why liberals are more dangerous than conservatives. If you basically say, look, black America, we could police ourselves. We need black majority police officers, black majority precincts, whatnot. We need black teachers in black schools, but the liberals in New York, even though New York's predominantly a black city, right? Most of the teachers, 65, 70% of them are white. That's an imbalance.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, yo. That's kind of, like, this probably might be my first time I give you some pushback, Kala. Because I had a lot of black male teachers, bro. Like, I don't know if I just got lucky or maybe it's because I went to
Well, were
public
you
school.
which school in New York?
Nah, I didn't go to school in New York. I was in school in New Jersey.
Okay, New York, Jersey might be different because they did have Newark principals were black. You know, New Jersey.
Yeah, yo, it was mad black male principals.
Yeah, there was a lot
crazy.
of black men. The principal of Newark, Patterson. Yeah, remember the movie Lean on Me?
Yeah, that was in shot at Newark. Yep.
For some reason, black people did well in New Jersey as far as education, you know, than New York. New York is the Regency system, probably the most advanced education system in the world. You know, it's hard to graduate high school in New York. You know,
Yeah.
the Regency, stuff like that. But the bottom line is this: it was a fierce competition. You didn't really see a lot of black teachers in New York at all. I seen a lot of blacks. I had a black substitute teachers. You know, I never seen black teachers in New York. All my teachers were white growing up. You know, in Jersey, you got people always complain like places like Patterson, Newark. That was all black. You know, but New York is pretty much the city of New York. You got the teachers unions and everything like that. That's all white. You know, teachers unions.
Yeah.
But it's all white. You know, so that's what it is. Truco says Byron Allen, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Serena, many other black Americans married white people of color. Yeah, so what? So what are we supposed to do? Just go after them because look, whatever these celebrities do, that's on them. Because let me tell you something about Truco. They have the money and privilege to marry white. They don't have to deal with the social implications of marrying white. When you're rich, you can do whatever you want to do. The rules don't apply to rich black people. They don't. It doesn't apply to rich black people. You know, the rules only apply to the layman of black people. The average black man trying to do interracial marriage who got to go to get a friggin' microaggression at a gas station or McDonald's every day, or people on his job looking at him a certain way or something. There's many serious implications when you're talking about dating or marrying outside your race. But rich people are immune to that shit. So of course, you're gonna have Byron Allen. He's worth $500 million. You know, shit. You know, Serena Williams. She's worth freaking $100 million. You know, rich people aren't in the same social category as the average black person. You know, so it's different for them. That's just elementary. Is that too hard to understand?
Nah, I don't know. Chuko got to be stupid or trolling you, bro.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. Is he trolling or is he fucking stupid? You know? Because how do you compare friggin' Byron Allen to average Joe?
Right?
No. You know, you try to be an ordinary black man, blue collar man with a blonde, blue-eyed woman, and see what the hell happens. But you're a black man, a multi-millionaire like Tiger Woods, where that people like, yo, man, they know that girl, that white chick's gonna be taken care of. You know, they don't care. They know, like, what's that guy? What's that Stratum, that football player? Remember? His bitch white wife took him to the cleaners in that divorce. You know.
Oh yeah, she wiped his.
He wanted Jason Stratum. What's his name was? Yeah, like his name is.
Yeah, he's
like $5 million a year for how dare you black ass ever get me pregnant whenever she would punish him for running up in her, you know, and getting her pregnant, you know. And so therefore the system knows if you got money like Dr. Dre's wife, man, that bitch $100, man.
All of them. Tice, what's his name? What's that motherfucker name?
Tiger Woods.
Yeah, Tiger Woods. Who else?
Exhibit.
Dr. Dre. They all
of them. The white chicks. They take them to the cleaners when it falls apart. They know that. You know that. You know.
Yeah, so, Kanye West.
Yo, it's because like, bro, like the white women be hawking, bro. Like when they get a successful black man, like, bro, they do anything and everything to keep them. You know what I mean? Like white girls be hounds, bro.
Yeah. So the bottom line is this: what applies to people like Kanye, even 50 and all that, don't apply to you and I. You know. You know, the world's accepting of that. The white women taking wealth from the black community. You know, they accept that. That's a win for them. But when you have your ordinary blue collar black man, whatnot, you go near their woman, And they got a joke out now saying, you know, once you go black, you become a single mother. Yeah, they have a thing out now where, that's
I've
a
seen
joke
that.
out.
Yeah.
That comedian,
Bro,
what's
and
his name?
that's the crazy part. Like a lot of white people be trolling us hard, bro.
And this is what the push. This is why I'm pushing back. That female comedian Leonardo Jolie. She goes, you know, back in the days we were racist. One night we see a black guy with a white guy, with a white girl. One night we're like, what the hell? Notice I never talk about a black or a woman with a white man, because that's perfectly okay too. You know,
right?
That's perfectly okay. When
That's
they take
fine.
cute ass black girls when I away from the black community, when I, because they like this power. It's a power thing. A black man with a white woman,
Exactly.
That's why it's still
exactly.
forbidden.
That's what I'm saying. Like they just going to use the black woman as an object because like they already know like 9 times out of 10 this black woman probably got touched as a child, so we know she about to be a freak. You know what I mean? Like it's literally all.
I see this one TikTok going around where this black girl goes, "I'm dating this white man. He's twice my age, and I think he's a racist because he said something about plantation. I'm on a plantation." I'm like, what the hell are you doing with an old fucking redneck? What the hell is wrong with these black girls?
Because Khaled, it's literally like, bro, do you not know women have dark fantasies, bro? But like now it's like it's okay.
Yeah, it's because it's
open.
Black women have these fantasies about the slave master.
Exactly. Yeah, bro.
It's
like if you get women for real, bro, like they'll keep it 100 about you about this type of stuff. Like they'll say that shit. You know what I mean? Like that shit is crazy.
Yeah. So everybody, like I said, this whole thing about America, it's not going to work because it's rooted in the slave culture, the slave narrative. Everything affects. Look, it affects everything. And look, I tell people all the time, even and I'm not for interracial marriage, right? But I do say if you're going to date outside your race, the slavery past shouldn't be hovering over it. You know, when you see a black woman with a white man, what do you think of? Massa. You know, you think of that movie Mandingo and shit like that, or remember the 12 Years a Slave where the girl, what's her name, Lupita was raped by
Yeah.
You conjure up all these things and whatnot, and then when you think of black man with a black woman, white woman, you think of Mandingo or stuff like the movie Mandingo, or and all these things, these ugly things in history has never been recorded because America romanticized that era in history, you know. And the bottom line, black people are romanticized that era in history. Is sick, you know. I'm here to destroy the Confederacy once and for all. You know, that's what the Afro-Stan movement's all about, you know, us having a nation of our own. What we're doing is we're destroying that whole culture that says that slavery is okay and we have some. No, we were not okay during slavery, you know. It was not a fun time, you know, it was not a loving time. Nothing good comes out of slavery in America, right? But oppression of black people, you know. So we're, like I said, we want to destroy this thing. My Lupita, I love Lupita too, man, but
I'm good.
Was not good.
She ugly to me now after that. Like I don't do that, bro. Like I don't like, black women that like that shit is crazy.
In that movie Us, she was fucking hot. That movie Us, you see that movie Us?
What movie?
Us.
Black Panther, she was hot too in Black Panther too.
Oh.
It's like, man, but just like like she is sell out. So it's like, man, like.
Yeah, she got her start with that movie 12 Years a Slave. So
yeah, they gave her a Grammy for that shit or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what she gonna be always remembered for.
Remembered for, right? Yeah, butt naked, right? Doing something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing good about these freaking slave movies and whatnot. It's not fun. It's not romantic. I mean, we have to learn our history, but the bottom line is this: I want a real good Nat Turner movie made. You know, I want.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, they made the Nat Turner movie, but
you know what they did with the Nat Turner movie? They basically sabotaged it by saying, "Oh, ticket sales low." They tried to sabotage.
But they wanted. Did you watch it?
Oh no, I didn't get a chance to see it. But you know they did that too. Rosewood. Remember the movie Rosewood came out? White people, they were selling tickets as something else, you know, to make it like
what?
Yeah, when you went to Rosewood, right? They would print out tickets for another movie and say, "Oh, here's Rosewood," right? and hand to you when so therefore you didn't know, so no one knew the exact box office sales.
Nah, that's fucking.
White people did not want us watching that Rosewood. That Rosewood was so deep. So they don't like watching anything that embarrasses them. You know?
Exactly. Like, you ever seen Selma? You seen Selma?
I saw Selma. Yeah, that was a good movie.
I seen Selma as a kid, bro, and like even when I was like fucking 6, bro. That shit.
Yeah, Selma was a good movie. You know, that was a good movie. That dude David Oyelowo was my favorite actor. I love that dude. He's a good actor. He played Dr. King. You know, I love that. You know, but yeah, so Rosewood. Yeah, Rosewood was a good movie. Rosewood was a good movie. And the bottom line is this: it was the truth about that area. You know, white people, for the most part, never apologized for that. You know, the people never got reparations. Even like when the '90s, a movie was made in the '90s, those people still alive.
Yeah.
They never got no reparations, their land, what like that. You know, so basically, this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with an unrepentant, shit ass fucking people. That's what you're dealing with, white America. That's why I say, you know, they fuck around, find out. Like I said, like right now, America's like has all these enemies around the world. Right? Okay, America has enemies, but don't mean Iran is my enemy. That's what I'm saying. America hates Cuba, but you know, even our leaders like this, Jesse Jackson used to sit down with Fidel Castro. They used to hate that. Why is Jesse Jackson meeting with Fidel Castro? Why is Farrakhan meeting with Gaddafi? Because just because somebody's an enemy to you, don't mean they're an enemy to us. See, that pretty much died out, but now I think that's going to come back right now, you know? Because I can't sit back and watch Donald Trump, right, side with the white Afrikaners, right? I can't sit back and do that. And
that's Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know it's Elon Musk, but the bottom line is he's going to fuck around and find out who you rather fucking piss off, us or Elon Musk, you know? That's why Black America can't go to sleep right now. You know, we can't go to sleep. We're saying, how dare you? Well, sooner or later, a spark is going to trigger, right? And we're going to be fucking, this place is going to be on fire, man. You know, let something happen. You know, bottom line is this: he already cut off aid to most of Africa. Okay, it's fine. You know, there's corruption and whatnot. You know, okay, fine. But the bottom line is, how are you going to talk about justify grabbing the minerals of the Congo and then putting sanctions on South Africa? What did the poor South Africans do? Just because you don't like their government policy? That's ridiculous, you know? Because Elon Musk, and then they lied about genocide in South Africa. I want the South African government to bring high treason charges against these Afrikaners that came and met with Trump and American media and stuff like that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see like this. MP says, I am my ancestors. No, look, I am my ancestors, but I don't act like my ancestors. That's a coward way of, I am my ancestors. My ancestors got beat, you know, water sipped on, and they did nothing but say, we shall overcome.
Right.
No, we're not. I am not my ancestors, bro. You know, I'm sorry, MP. I am not my ancestors, you know. I don't believe in lift every voice and sing. I mean, I believe in lift every fist and swing. You know.
Yeah, I like that one.
Lift every fist and swing. You know. Fuck that lift every voice and sing shit. You know. I am not my ancestors. I love them. I respect them, but I'm sorry, we can't do that. You know. They want to bring it there. We could bring it there. You know.
Fat bro, I used to wish, bro, like I could go to like an all white school so I could get bullied, so I could fuck them up. But that shit just never happened because I went to Catholic school, but like the white kids just wasn't on that, man.
Oh yeah, well, it's like I said. The bottom line is this: most times you had look what Black immigrants don't understand. Most of the times they're not gonna do that. It's not even almost so as like racism, like hey nigga, whatever like that. It's little microaggressions, you know, subtle racism, you know, that you notice, you know. That's what's bothering people more than real racism, subtle racism, you know. Like you go and all your friends get invited to a party, but you didn't get invited, you know. Like, oh wow, man, why didn't I get invited? You know, why didn't I get invited to the party, whatever like that. Or when something happens, I remember when you guys don't remember before you guys were born. There was a guy that shot a couple of cops in New York City in 1986 called Larry Davis, right? And he said he was selling drugs to the cops, and they tried to take him out, but he shot a couple of cops. I think he killed one, whatever like that. And there was a citywide, statewide manhunt for Larry Davis. He was 20 years old, Larry Davis, look him up. Anyway,
Yeah, I actually heard about that before.
I heard of it before.
I heard him at an Uncle Murder bar. You said that.
Yeah, but check us out. But we felt, black people, we felt like, with them looking for Larry Davis, they're looking at white people asking like, have you seen him? What the fuck do have I seen him,
you remember Christopher Dorner? You remember him?
Yeah, Christopher Dorner, yeah.
Had a manhunt going on for him, man.
Yeah, the bottom line, when they have these manhunts, just be sure when you see a white person, he's holding you responsible for every time Christopher Dorner, Larry Davis, or whatever, do what they gotta do, whatever like that. Whatever they do, that's on them. But they don't see us as having agency. That means I live my life, I do what I gotta do, whatever like that. I'm responsible for my own decisions, right?
Micah
having agency.
Micah, I think it was Micah Johnson or Micah somebody. He was killing cops. They was scared to death.
Yeah. Well, me, peace be. I don't condone none of that shit. For the air, whatever. I don't condone that shit. But like I said, at the same time, if somebody does that shit, do not come to me and ask me. I don't know what that situation is. He did what he did. Yeah, I remember that guy, Micah. I don't know. That's him. Whatever like that. I'm only responsible for what I said I'm gonna do and what I do. White people have a way of holding everybody responsible for whatever somebody else black do. And I'm like, oh look, that's between you and him. You must have pissed him off or whatever. He felt like he had to do what he got to do, whatever like that. That's between you and him and God. Has nothing to do with me. Don't ask me. I don't give a shit. But just like when the Central Park thing happened, right? There were people running around talking about, oh yeah, the black youth. And I was a black youth at the time, right? I'm like, what do you think? I said, what the fuck you mean? What do I think about Central? I don't know. I don't know them niggas,
Right? I think them niggas did it, bro. No lie.
I think they were wilding out, like we used to do back then. We used to call wilding, And I think what happened was the guy who actually raped her was some Puerto Rican guy, had nothing to do with them. And they lumped them all together,
I didn't do that.
The whole community shunned them, right, for years until the truth came out, right? And so the bottom line is this, I'm like this. My part, I'm like this. On the radio, AM radio, the white America was calling them saying, "That's niggas this, niggas that. We are shipping back to Africa. We're sick of it." I'm like, what the hell did I and the majority of black people, the millions of black people who are working in New York every day, minding our business, what the fuck do we have to do with what happened that night? That summer night.
Colin, they do that to this day though, bro. Like you could go on Instagram, it could be some black, women stealing out of Walgreens. They're like, oh, black at it again. Oh, look at these people. All they do is steal. I'm like, bro, we don't even know these women.
I know, but anytime somebody black do something, we're held for it, So I'm like this. I'm only held to what I do, and don't ask me about somebody like this and say, well, the black community is doing it. Look, some black people are doing some bullshit. Majority of us are not participating in that shit, But so the bottom line is, people want to do that. That's on them. That's between you, them, and the law. Catch them, put them in jail, prosecute them like that. But just do not, whatever you do not knock on my door and ask me my opinion or what I think about it, because it has nothing to do with me.
Police coerced them into saying that they did something they didn't do, man. That's crazy.
Dude, come on, Bantu. Let's stop it, man. I see the motherfuckers on fucking camera robbing shit and shit like that.
No, I'm talking about the Central Park, not just random people.
Oh, yeah, Central Park. Yeah, Central Park. They basically said, if you say this, you can go home.
I watched that whole
documentary. They weren't have their lawyers.
That shit was crazy, man.
And so they incriminated themselves, but they were young kids. They didn't know any better, And so therefore they were set up by the cops. The media was going like they did it, whatever like that. So they needed the cops were just trying to pass the buck. Well, now they knew these kids were innocent, so they basically need to pin this on somebody. So they, make them make statements and whatnot. Then they made
whereas they get paid.
They turned them on each other. They turn them on each other. And stuff like that, turn them on each other. They basically start telling them that, this person said this about you. No, this is what happened. And they put it all together. And this is what happened, man. It's a sad situation.
That's tell you how, corrupt the so-called legal system is, because
the legal system has always been corrupt, man, The legal system is this. It's basically, if a chief of police or a detective say that's what happened, guess what? That's what happened. That's really what it is. They say what happened. They say you did it, And all they had to do was, because they got the media on this side, all they had to do is get you before a jury and convince a jury, and that's your ass is done, Then 20 years later, you found evidence that, he was innocent. We're sorry. After you spent 4 years in jail and whatnot, Okay, Bantu Badika, you can get out now. You're 80 years old, driving and shit, you can't do nothing, but hey, we're going to give you your freedom and whatnot. They act like you did. Hey, we didn't hear no thanks,
Yeah, that's what the Central Park 5, that shit was, that was insane, man.
They got some money out of it. That was the least they could do.
Yeah, I mean, I got some money, but goddamn, man.
Some people don't even get that shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably blew that money too, man. Shit.
Yeah, so this is a messed up situation, and all I say is basically, I would tell anybody, do not ever think about committing but now they're sending U.S. citizens now to El Salvador. You do not want to end up in that freaking prison,
Hell no, nah.
That shit looks like hell on earth, man.
Yeah, they keep them all cramped up in one cell, bro. Like,
but they say
20
you can
people
earn
in
your
one
way
cell.
to working 24 hours a day for like pennies a day.
I'll do that.
Yeah, but imagine you just working there, and you can earn time off your sentence, whatever, like that, But you're there for like 300 years. So what the hell?
What's the point, right? Yeah, at least you're doing something. Yeah.
But the bottom line, I don't understand how anybody. Look, I am not gonna live no life of crime because whatever it was worth. They guys have no contact with the outside world. They can't talk. They can't do nothing. They cramped up in cage like animals. You see them,
bro? No women, no vegetables, no fruit, bro.
Nothing.
Like, what do you eat? No water. Like, say you thirsty, bro, right now. Like, I need some water. Like, you can't get that. It's crazy.
Yeah, you just have to sit there and suffer. I mean, that's like I said. It's like if anybody want to be a gang member or whatever like that, hey, more power to you. I don't want to end up in that shit, And they said they're gonna start sending U.S. citizens there, and they're probably gonna build another one in Gatano. Who knows? Donald Trump might just basically, when he gets to the Congo, build one in the Congo, and say, "Oh yeah, we heard a lot of y'all Negroes want to go back to Africa, so we're gonna make that possible."
That's funny. That's fucking crazy.
It won't be, but it won't be collagenesis style. It won't be collagenesis
like shit Donald Trump would try to do.
I know he would. I know exactly he would do it too. Check us out, and it won't be collagenesis style where it's building a nation. What I'm saying? It'll be us. You going to a fucking work camp or a fucking maximum security prison on the continent, no way ever coming back. So G goes, hell no, Colin. No, that's the truth, man. Look, what do you think he's talking about in Africa for? With Greenland and all shit like that. And Trump is serious about cleaning America up with the crime. And America's out of control of the crime. I do believe
bro.
The crime, a lot of Chicago and whatnot.
And LA and stuff.
In the fuck around and find out era.
Because, bro, like, the Olympics are about to be hosted in LA in 2026, the Summer Olympics. They have to clean up the streets because you know how many foreign people are about to come out here and flood the economy with money? Like people from like Switzerland and shit like that. Like that's what I'm like, yeah, they have to get these guys out of here.
Oh yeah. So the bottom line is they're not playing around. These people like that. Like I said, I told Black America, you have finally met him. All the talk, all that. Oh, Reagan, this when you be praying for Ronald Reagan when Donald Trump before Donald Trump's done. This Reagan was that. One president that really was trying to help Black people? Nixon. But because he was a Republican and conservative, whatever like that, Black America, he actually supported Soul City, and Black enterprise, entrepreneurship. That's what he supported that. Why did we didn't like Nixon? Because our so-called leaders told us not to. Well, he ain't with the civil rights and integration. Nobody ever want to be fucking integrated with black people, you know? Like
And
I said,
how many years ago was that, Carla?
that was 50 years ago, 1974, 75, you know?
Right? And rewind now to 2020. Donald Trump offered us 50 billion? And we said no again.
500 billion, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
50 billion to start, something like that.
I mean, 500 billion.
Yeah. They basically, like this. That's why I said I don't really want to give a shit about black people, because Donald Trump offered you something in 2020, because that could have saved him a lot of time. We would have came out for Trump and got him elected in 2020. We'd probably be sitting pretty right now. But I don't think black people really want it like this. I hope G's joking. He said Nixon was trying to scam the federal government. First of all, it had nothing, the housing and all that had nothing to do with Nixon. He just signed it off. Floyd McKenzie basically got the legislation passed, you know, and basically got the housing, and they will start Soul City project, you know. And by the way, Nixon said that's a good idea, man. Y'all building your own towns and cities and everything. Y'all industrial zones, you know, people employment right there. I would look. That was the whole idea of Black America. We could have employment locally where we live and stuff like that. We don't have to commute 5 hours a day, commuting and shit like that, you know, in the snow and the heat and everything like that. Just work a nice job and own businesses in our own area and whatnot. That's right. The dream.
And bro, think about it. Like, you see how many like jobs it takes to just run America or run a city alone? Like, so many black people would have had jobs. Probably been no crime like that because niggas would have been too.
Yeah, it was the bottom line. Soul City would have been a city that could take care of itself, brilliant industrial zones, civil service, all that stuff like that would have created jobs for the people, you know.
Yeah, but it would have been like unlimited jobs, you know. Like you gotta have people, you know, fixing the lights. You gotta have people doing this. So
technicians and everything like that, you know.
Right? Yeah, like so niggas would have been too busy working rather than, you know, doing crime and shit. What's going on, bro?
Man, look, I definitely agree. The other stuff that you had 2 days ago, my people, they were mad at you, Kyler, with the what is that chick? The little chick you were talking about. My people were like, one of my little partners, you were listening in, like talking about. He was mad at you and everything. You were talking about the little
What did I do?
But that chick from Houston. You know, they mad at you Republican.
Oh, talking about Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah. My people want to fight me now. Cause you know I voted for Trump. I voted for Trump and everything, and they looking at me crazy. They say I'm a coon, I'm this.
Man,
like,
they crazy, bro.
My whole family, everybody looking at my friends, my partners, everybody looking at me crazy. I'm like, what the hell going on?
You ask your friends how she go from a college salary to less than 1 year being worth $10 million.
10 million.
She's corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is all about, because they know Donald Trump is coming after all these people. They're stealing. How's Ilhan Omar, a fucking stupid Somali chick, worth $85 million? You know,
$85 million.
Yeah, Ilhan Omar is worth $85 million.
Oh, it's like the mafia to me. They launder the money. They
do that all the time, bro. It's just like a huge money laundering scheme, bro. They
what the hell?
All the time, bro. Like, that's politicians all the time. Like, that's like regular, bro, right? Like, they do this shit.
How's Cory Booker worth $30 million?
What the fuck? 30? I know.
Cory Booker Jeffries worth $20 million.
Yeah, Cory Booker, that's the black guy, right? Isn't he from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, Jersey.
Yeah.
He got out of nowhere. You know how he got his start? He had a picture with Jay-Z. Oh, that's
Let me ask you something about this, Kyle.
Who the fuck is this guy? Came out of nowhere, you know.
Let me ask you something, Kyle, about the tax cuts, about the cuts and everything. Because I try to defend my stance on voting for Trump. I said we need these cuts, you understand? But he talking about they're not having tax cuts for the wealthy. They're not having that for the wealthy.
No, bottom line, Trump is trying to cut. He wants to cut taxes, income tax for working people all across the board, and also taxes on tips and everything like that. Who's going to be against that?
Yeah,
I mean, you got a whole group of niggas like that against it.
Cut taxes period for anybody making less than $150K a year. So
for real,
that's how you defend that.
Right, which is majority of niggas, bro, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Well, shit, they mad at me. Shit, they said that we out of job because of Trump.
You know what it is, brother. There's a lot of black people, right, who just don't get it, right? Look. I said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, right? America is still a white country. You know, it is what it is, right? But we got to learn how to get our portion. We're here in large numbers. We got to learn how to get our part of the money, right? We need money coming into our communities. We need lower taxes. We need investments. We need to buy black and stuff like that. We can't do that being broke. Show me anywhere with Jasmine Crockett, Al Sharpton, Maxine Waters, Al Green. All these people come from the freaking, even though Jasmine Crockett, she's not even ghetto, but she acts like that, right?
She acts like she's from the ghetto.
Only thing is all they do is focus on food stamps, welfare. What about, is anybody on this panel on food stamps?
No.
Nah, I wish.
I wish too.
So if you're not on food stamps, Section 8 and everything, tell me, what does they have to appeal to you? No, think about this. Think about what I just said, Marcus, right?
Yeah.
Personally, your interest,
yeah.
right? Not the interest of what somebody tell you, somebody down the street, right? And I'm trying to tell you, worry about yourself, right? Worry about yourself. Do not worry about, don't see this is a con game they put on you. Oh, Donald Trump's against Section 8. Don't give a shit.
Yeah, fuck them niggas. I'm tired of that shit. That Section 8 shit.
That's how you have to be. You know, I'm like this. What I want to see is when Donald Trump talking about enterprise zones for the black community, how can I tap into that and get a loan for a business and stuff like that? You know, that's what I want to hear. Yeah. That's the song I want to hear. You know, is Donald Trump interested in loans for people who want to invest in Africa and do business with Africa? You know, he is. Okay, fine. But these are the conversations at this point we should be having. You know, not worrying about fucking DEI and
I'm getting tired of that.
Stupid stuff like this that don't concern us directly. DEI is more about 80% of DEI. You know who got
white women? White women. Yeah.
So why are we out there? We're only 4% of DEI hires. So why the fuck are we? Why is that our issue?
It's not. It's just bullshit talking point.
Just like what you call the Black Lives Matter had nothing to do with black people. It had everything with the trans people, the gay people. You know, the LGBTQ. That's all it was because they had the rainbow flag next to Black Lives Matter. That's all that was.
Hey, did you ever? Hey, Callie, did you ever go to their website and read their mission statement?
Oh yeah, man. We don't like patriarchy, stuff like this. You know, these are come on. You know, they think black.
They said nothing about black men up there. I seen that. Yeah,
exactly. They was trying to destroy the black family. That was on their fucking website. So, you know what that's about. LGB shit, whatever you want to keep.
So the LGBTQ is rolling in the carpet of black people.
Why do we latch onto these ideologies so fast? That's what I want to know. Because we were back in the day.
You know why? Because of emotionalism, right? I never forget this, right? This is back in summer 2020, right? I was in this one takeout restaurant, right? And a bigger brother came in, tall, bigger brother, dark-skinned brother came in, right? Young guy, like a baby in the face. He was tall, it's like 6'5". Like he was a baby in his face, right? He had a Black Lives Matter shirt on, and this guy was just seething, like he was like ready to, like, I was like this. I felt like telling him, bro, it ain't all that, bro. You know? He was just like, you could tell somebody putting something in his ear. He was just like shaking his head, like swelling.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, like he about to do something. Yeah.
Like he about to, you know, I was like,
it's not that
that's a true story, man. I said to myself, he had Black Lives Matter shirt on, and I'm like, I said, that's when I turned against the movement. I said, nah, this ain't it, you know. This ain't it, you know. I said these young people out there is angry, man. That whole summer they wrecked
down everything. Yeah,
but we should have been forgot about that shit. No, they have not forgotten about that shit.
You know why I was so mad though too? We could have asked for some shit. These motherfuckers implemented Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a Texas nigga holiday. That's only for Texas niggas.
Whoopie-doo.
That's for Texas. That's not for. That's only for Texas.
Check out, check us out. You know that first Juneteenth they had somewhere, right? And next thing you know, when Craig and them showed up, right? And next thing you have old black people out there with their cane running because they heard gunshots. I said, man, this is a shame. You didn't get nothing I did with Juneteenth. And now because you can't fix your community, create opportunities and stuff like that to civilize your communities. You just want to settle for a holiday, right? We can get out there. So now you're out there running for your life. There wasn't that. You know how many people got shot during Juneteenth last year?
Oh man.
My
It's the
thing
most
is,
dangerous day in Black America, Juneteenth.
that's not even that's a Texas nigga holiday.
Yeah.
Why other people celebrating that shit?
I have no
When I
idea
live in
because
Texas,
everybody
I
wants
live in Texas. I
something.
ain't never
Everybody wants
celebrated that shit.
something.
My people want to slave in Texas. That was the Texas
Everybody wants something to identify with. That's all.
to get drunk and turn up.
Right?
Have fun.
Yeah, like come on.
That's
I'm
what that is.
tired of having fun, my nigga. You know?
Oh man, look, I live in Houston. That's all they do over here. Party, fuck around, and turn up. That's it. That's all they do.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
Everybody will turn up and act the fool and
Fool, waste their
drunk.
money, give it to the Chinese people, the Arabs. Man, what?
With your one life, right? Like your only one guaranteed life. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't that shit crazy? You ain't about to do nothing else with this one life you got.
So the bottom line is, politically in America, 45 million people are completely. All the Democrats do is come and buy the people off. Oh, really? You're part of the Black Liberation Party? Hey, you sound like a good guy, man. We're going to give you $10 million to run for office over here as a Democrat. That's all it takes. We don't really, until we get the money where we can finance a real political party and stuff like that. How that's going to happen, I have no idea. The bottom line is the white people left us with nothing to build on. We're at their mercy politically,
Hell, we at their mercy, like economic shit.
Politically, socially, we're at their mercy. So when people like Chukwu be like, in principle, y'all need to do something. Do fucking what, And like I said, for us to do something, it's going to be confrontation with white America. That's the only way it's going to be. For example, I said Black America earns $1.5 trillion a year. It comes through our hands, right? 99% of that money goes to white. That means they earn interest off our money, Most stuff that we buy, right, from Walmart and everything like comes from white corporations, right? Most of the insurance we buy comes from white insurance companies. Most mortgages we got, white insurance. Most rent we pay goes to white people, So basically, we're a big cash cow for everybody but ourselves. Very few of the Black money goes into Black communities, Black hands. But they want to fuck around and find out. I think the Black empowerment movement or the Buy Black movement will grow. Now fuck around and find out. Now we'll start spending money with ourselves when I do Black-owned apps. I urge everybody to get their Black-owned business app called Blaps. That's the best one. Blaps. That's the best one.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. Just one restaurant in my neighborhood, nice neighborhood, right? Called Southern Flair. I didn't know it was Black. I know it was Black would go there, but I didn't know it was Black owned. When I went there, oh shit, it's Black owned. Nice restaurant right in the suburbs, right in Chesapeake, right here, in Chesapeake, in a shopping center. It was in a nice shopping center. Because usually I think of Black restaurant, I think of the hood. There's so many Black businesses, nice restaurants. One guy opened up a fish fry, right? Nice, in a nice brand new building in the suburb. More and more Black businesses are opening up in nice locations,
Yep.
That's a new trend right now. Black people are entering the suburbs, in the middle of America, That's the thing. So a lot of times we don't know they're Black owned, Like you might even have a Chipotle place, but that might be Black owned. You don't even know,
Yeah, because you can franchise stuff now,
What's the name of the app?
Franchise
There's a lot of Black owned businesses that are franchised. You don't know they're Black owned and whatnot,
Blaps.
Blaps?
Yeah, it's like
BLAPPS, Blaps.
All right, I'm about to look that up.
The app, I was like, oh, sweat. That's in my block, man. It might not be a block, but it's my neighborhood. I said, I didn't know it was Black owned. Right when there, I was like, yeah. Even though you know how you go to a place, Black. The one thing they gotta learn is when you see a stranger coming to your place, man, say, how you doing? I just sat there for a minute, and finally somebody came over, and I made a comment. One of the regulars, man, made a smart comment like, what do you think it is, man? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, man, I said to myself, why can't you guys just welcome me as a Black person establishing a Black business and whatnot? I eat food. The food was there good, man. I had I had fish and mac and cheese, and that shit was delicious, man. And collard greens and cornbread, that shit was good, man. But
I like soul food.
Yeah, soul food. But bottom line is this: the places is really nice. On the weekend, it'd be packed. I know it's a lot of Black biker clubs. pull up there when I just thought it was just. I said, man, I was saying because my brother and his wife used to eat there, right? And I used to say every time I drive by there, like I said, whoever the white man it is, man, he got all these black people's money. I had no idea it was a black restaurant, you know. I had no idea. I was going to drive by like hating, like, man, look at this white guy. All these black people spending all this money, like because there was so many people outside, right? When it was a weekend, it's like a club, you know, like a nightclub. You got these young black couples, everybody out there. You got a lot of black biker groups in there and everything like that, you know. Really nice place, really nice hangout, nice suburbia, you know, black suburbia, you know, middle America, you know. And so I basically, I said, I used to always drove by for 2 years. I lived there. I was like, I did not know it was black home. I thought it was just like one place black people like hanging out, you know. I ain't hanging out there. I said, I ain't giving no white people my money. You know what I'm saying? That's what I said. You know what I'm saying? Then I looked on Blaps. It was in Blaps. I was like, holy shit. That was black owned the whole time. I didn't know, man, you know. Can't judge a book by its cover, man, you know. They got this one restaurant in my area called Black Eyed Peas. You talk about the best food you ever have in your life. Holy shit. They make on certain days this sweet potato cornbread. Imagine sweet potatoes, right? Mix them with cornbread. You talk about delicious, man. It is fucking delicious. They only give you like one piece of it, you know, because there's so much in demand. And they only have like a couple times in a month, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good, yeah.
That freaking roast chicken. You get a half roast chicken, collard greens, yams, and the foods. You know, it's called Black Eyed Peas. You know, it's a really nice one. Me and my boy Ron, my big homie Ron, we go there. We go there every time because we like put money in the black. And so you remember, you know, the restaurant Uno's that came from Chicago's Uno's, the bar.
Yeah,
that's what they did. Uno's went out of business. They took over that spot as a thing. So it's a nice place. It's in the mall. You know. It's in the mall. So I was like I said.
Oh yeah, so they get money.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, though, when we first went there, the service wasn't all that. But I got, you know, you give our people a little break. You know, people ain't showing up and whatnot, and people in the back arguing and whatnot. Like, okay. And then the last one went there actually was pretty good. They had a couple of white guys and white chicks waiting as servers and stuff like that. You know, the bar was open and everything like that. It was running smooth last time. First time I went there, I was like, they got to get together. I sat out front before I got seated. It was like almost an hour before I got seated, you know. They're like, we're so understaffed. I said, I understand.
Yeah.
You know, but they got together last time I was there, man. It was good. The food was good and everything like that. It was great. But I just want to love living where I live at, Virginia, right? Because I like seeing black middle class success. I love that, you know. That's where I feel at home. I do not like being around hood people or whatever like that. I like seeing black kids going to the movie theaters on dates and shit like that. And, you know, especially when the movie Black Panther came out, that was just such a good time, man. You know, you see black kids out there and they date and whatnot, and couples, little young couples out there on a date. So like that, I like seeing that shit, you know. That's civilization to me, you know. Of course, we got soul food in Liberia. What do you think? Black
Americana. Hello.
But I just want to say, all I want to see is the best for my people. I want to see us happy. I want to see us with money in our pocket. I want to see us with all these things and whatnot that, you know, like this. I do not want to see people broke. I don't want to see people struggling. I don't want to hear it, you know. Whatever you got to do. If you got to work 3 jobs, get it done. You know, ain't nobody no shaming on you. And I don't judge people. As long as you're working and as long as you're not begging, you know, that's all I care about, you know. I just want to see how people do better. I just want to see how people happy, whether you go to Africa or you stay in America.
We want to like we were in the 60s or some shit like that. Like a community. You want us like to be a community like back I were back in the day.
I want us to be a people. When you're a people, you form a community. You know, we're a people. That means we're a people. You know, we can't be a people until we come together as a people, right? In order for us to become a people, we got to recognize that we're black before we're American, before we're Christian, before we're a people, you know? We got to start acting like a people, right? That's why I said we got to put these black immigrants in check. You can't just come here telling us what to do. You know, we're a people, you know? We have
like back in the day, like what I'm saying, like when the immigrants weren't really here. Like how y'all lived back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day, immigrants came here, they had to assimilate with us, you know. They had to assimilate in our culture, and they respected our story. This is our story of America, right? You can't come here and create a new
story.
A new story, like Afro Dumbass tries to do, right? Oh, I came here on a plane. Who cares? That's not Black story in America, The Black story in America started in the transatlantic slave trade. The hell we went through in this white America, That's the Black story of America, right? And if you come from that, then you're part of our family, everything. That's what's so great about Black America. We're probably the most homogeneous group of Black people on the planet, the largest homogeneous group of people. People say Nigerians the largest group. No, they're not.
No, they got Yoruba, Igbo,
Yoruba, Igbo, and all these other people, Fulanis, and everything like that. As far as like the largest Black ethnic group, we're probably the largest, even Black Brazil. No, most of Brazil, mulattoes, they're all kinds of, we're the largest, we're the largest Black ethnic group in the world, African American. We're the largest Black ethnic group in the world. So we have to start acting like that's how I resent people trying to minimalize our culture,
Even people in the islands and shit try to do that crazy ass shit. I'm like, y'all crazy.
Yeah, so they don't have the numbers. We have the numbers. That's a testament, man, because we're still pretty much, no matter where you come from Louisiana, New York, and everything, we're still the same people.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right? We come from all different regions, but we're still basically the same people.
Yeah.
I can go to Memphis, still Black folks, Kim folks, Go to Louisiana, still I go to Alabama.
That's your people. That's still your people. When we all came, we migrated from the South, we went to different places, but we all got that same blood. The same
bloodline,
The bloodline, yeah.
Once we realize that and
we could take over the world. I mean, we could damn near take over the world.
We're
related.
Understand that,
We damn near all related. Shit.
We're homogeneous. They want to break us up into this.
That's what they're trying to do with the LGBT. I'm seeing the LGBT, the gangster shit, the light skin versus dark skin. Man, look, we all Black.
Exactly. I don't get into all that colorism shit,
We're Black.
We're Black. We're Black. You go to the slave ships and the plantations and all stuff like that. You listen to blues, you listen to jazz.
Zydeco.
You eat cornbread, you eat ribs, you eat
gumbo,
fried chicken, everything like that,
Yeah, yes, indeed.
Not only everything, but the bottom line majority. And candy yams, black eyed peas, cornbread. In New York, we even had lasagna. I don't know how you guys in the South, but
I got lasagna. Not to cook. Yeah, we can cook lasagna. We had Italians in
New York. We run a lot of Italians, so we.
But the first Italians came through New Orleans, though. The first Italians came.
Oh, that's right. They do. Italians did come to New Orleans.
The Marcellus, the mafia. We had our own mafia. And everything.
You guys did have Italians down there. Yeah, we had. Pasta was big in New York because we were Italians, and we had spaghetti, lasagna, stuff like that.
Buffaladas, all that.
Our culture,
Yeah, but we still gonna overtake. We still gonna have the soul food, and the Creole food.
Oh yeah, but our lasagna tastes different than theirs. Trust me, our lasagna is different. My aunt, man, she makes lasagna. Oh my God, man, ain't no Italian can make lasagna like we make our own. They got their own lasagna.
My pa make lasagna. My dad used to work with the Italians and shit at the restaurant, so my dad make
lasagna. So
yeah, I already know.
So
crawfish etouffee, yes indeed. Shrimp etouffee, shrimp Creole. I can make a good crawfish etouffee, bro. I can make a good one and gumbo. My shit good.
Gumbo back in the days.
Yes indeed. But like we said, we all people, and I wish we could see that we could. Go form shit at the UN or the African Union. Have some type of seat. Give us a seat. Give us something.
The bottom line, what I want to do is I want to press this like the white people are pressing for.
We got succotash too. Yes, indeed.
We want to basically say it's time for Black America to be recognized.
Yes, indeed.
And everything. That territory will be our place in the world, because the bottom line, people are not going to give us anything as long as we're in America because they're afraid of America.
Yes, indeed.
As long as we're in America, like I said, people always think they can be a Pan-Africanist. That's why I'm in Liberia. I believe Liberia could be a base in Africa until we do that.
I told my partner. My partner said, "What is he doing for the community?" I said, "This motherfucker trying to start some shit in Liberia." He said,
Exactly.
What you doing? Hell nah. Just because he voted Republican. What's that, G?
What's going on, Marcus?
What's that? You said succotash. My mom know how to make some succotash. I said, you must be from Louisiana. Yes.
How y'all brothers doing? Hey. I just had to get on side. I just had to get on podcast. But yeah, you just came up. I said, damn, this brother must be from the South or something.
You said what?
I said, this brother must be from the South.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Yeah.
Where you from?
I used to live in New Orleans. I lived in Houston. I'm in Houston right now. I live in Dallas for work, but my roots Louisiana, South Louisiana, New Orleans, the river parishes, Bass Street, all that.
Yeah, I'm
my
from
roots.
Louisiana too. My mom's from Louisiana, Alexandria.
All right, yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely. So you know about succotash, like cause I said,
yeah,
my mom had to make that. Yes, indeed, yeah.
Hey man, that motherfucking gator meat is good. Colin said he ain't never had none.
You ain't never had no gator, Cal?
Yeah. I tell
What?
you, anything that eats another thing, man. You know?
Man, listen, Colin, you don't know what you're missing.
Yeah, you missing out, bro.
Probably, you know, if somebody cooked it the right way, the right seasoning on it, anything tastes good with the right seasoning on it, you know.
Yes, indeed.
Man, you don't know what you're missing, Colin. Listen, gator's really good, and then so is crocodile tails, and you got a whole bunch of stuff down there. Yeah.
Rabbit, smothered rabbit.
Yeah, rabbit.
Yeah, that shit good as a motherfucker. And some duck.
Yeah, duck. I know how to cook duck and roast duck too.
Damn.
I had duck before. Duck is good, man, but
I don't like duck. That
I don't
shit too
like
rich.
wild duck. I like regular domestic duck is delicious.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
But like we said, we all the same people, like, you know, so we need like a safety net with Liberia. If this bitch falls, we need something.
I talked to my guy Val Thomas, he's an African American guy, he lives in Liberia.
Yeah.
He has an International Focus magazine. I'm trying to get in the next edition, you know, featured in Me and My Mind features the next edition.
Yeah.
And so therefore, look, I'm not the only one doing this, right?
Yeah.
I told him my plan was, he said, yeah, bro, I already did like 20 trade missions, right? And I told him about my plans to go to Angola. He said, I'm already on top of it, bro. So we're trying to build a magazine and a network of Black businesses from Atlanta, Houston, to Liberia, to the rest of the continent.
You say Houston too?
It's basically the place where we can network through the continent. One place, because Liberia is basically tailor-made for Black America, you know, because everything in Liberia is basically Black America. Everything.
You said it's the South? You said it's the South?
Like the Deep South, like being in friggin', just like being in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Africa at the same time.
Well, yes, indeed.
When you're here in Liberia, you feel like you're in the South. You feel like you're in the Deep South, you know? That's what you feel like.
Wow.
You know, so it's the same culture, same everything, you know? It's amazing how culture, just like the Suriname, whatever his name is, in Dominican Republic, that's an African American community, right? They still got the same culture and everything.
Where?
To admit that we don't have a culture is a lie.
But where? You know? Oh, there's somebody Somalia, yeah, the DR, Dominican Republic, yeah.
Yeah. That's an African American community, you know?
Wow.
But why are we focused on Ghana so much? That's my thing. That's my beef. Like, everybody keep talking about Ghana. I see more people going to Ghana and spending money in Ghana.
See, Ghana is like, because Ghana didn't have that war, in many ways, Ghana's infrastructure is good and everything like that. I get that. But, you know, for as far as like Black men, I think Liberia is a better choice as far as like.
Why you say that?
Oh, well, because there's opportunity here. You can see it. We can feel, you can smell the opportunity here, you know? It's very easy to start a business, and there's like everything to do. And also the women here just treat you like a freaking king. I mean,
Yeah.
The women here are so fucking beautiful, so fucking hot, man. It's like so sweet. You know, they talk to you and everything like that. You know, it's like, it's nothing like that. And same women in America, like, you know, wouldn't give you the time of day, but these girls be looking like fucking models, and they'll talk to you. You know, sit down and say, hey, let's have a drink. You want? She'll come over and talk to you.
Yes, indeed.
You know, that's how it is here. Yeah, I'm married, but the bottom line is I got so many freaking women throwing me their numbers. Like, I say, look, I can't do that. I'm not that type of guy.
Yes, indeed. Start a family over there type shit.
Yes, I just got a house. I got a house now here.
Yes,
And
indeed.
I'm moving in tomorrow because I was just getting it painted today. The rest of the paint done today, and when tomorrow I'll move in. So when I come to Liberia, I got a nice crib, man. I just get my big flat screen TV up there. Get my new refrigerator. All I need is a refrigerator and a flat screen TV. I'm good. Furniture and everything like that. It's real nice, real decked out, man. Carpet, really, really decked out, man. In the front, I'm having a nice grill. Even though it's too late, I'm gonna be gone next week. I ain't gonna be able to enjoy it. But hopefully I can be back September, I can have me a cookout, buy a grill and have a cookout, man. That's my dream, is to be able to cook out in Africa, grill in Africa, like be cooking fish and chicken, hot dogs, and everything like that for everybody and whatnot. That's my dream, to be able to do that. But yeah, like I said, it's a fun place. It's definitely a fun place to get your feet wet in Africa and stuff like that. Just a fun country, as far as Black America. Ghana's a fun country too, but I think that like I said, I asked a lot of people, African American, like two guys that you should look at. Is they got a channel called Do Africa, right? I met these two brothers, right? They've been on YouTube for a while. I've been watching for a couple of years now on YouTube. But I finally met them. I hung out with them here, And they was like, why do you do Liberia? He said, simply, Liberia was founded by African Americans. And when you're in Liberia, you feel like you're in your own country. That's what you feel. You feel like this is yours, You feel like this is your country because your ancestors were the one who founded the place, All the buildings, the tall buildings and everything like that.
They found
that's years old. That's our ancestors who built that, Liberia was an outpost of Black America.
Well, we need that back. I ain't gonna lie. We need good people.
Well, listen, like I said, all you do is come back and just basically just be a part of it, invest, and travel there and go on tour and go on everything, find yourself a nice little Liberian honey, nice cute. They're all over the place, Find yourself a nice little Liberian cutie, and that's all you need,
Yes, indeed.
But Carl, you know what? But Carl, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it seemed like I just need something permanent because the way things going now in the U.S. is just all this chaos going on.
Well, see, the thing is, I've been here a month, right? For that whole month, right, I did not think about the United States one time. I like being in a place where Black people who look like me are the majority,
Yeah.
Even though we have the native people here got different culture, but it's still all the music you hear is mostly Black American, the hip hop, reggae, whatever like that. Everything here is mostly Black America, everything, You go to clubs and whatnot, you feel like you're in New York, Bars, all the bars, there's bars all over the place. There's hole-in-the-wall bars every fucking place with neon lights. Every place. It must be 100 in a square mile.
What's crazy, Kyle?
Beer and whatnot, hang out with chicks, whatever like that. They're all over the place. They be blasting, they be big bass, be blasting music all night when that. Liberians love to party. This place is a party country,
Wow. You know what's crazy though? If you ain't tell us about Liberia, I ain't gonna lie, I would been scared to go to that motherfucker. Cause how they portray. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, look, check us out. It's the safest country. However, there are Zocos out there, and I almost ran into some Zocos tonight.
What?
Zogos. These are area boys that do shit. You just gotta watch what you're doing. Like, this is what they do. If you have your cell phone in your hand, they'll jack you, right? They tried to do that to us tonight, right? But I got to jump on them, I was coming back to the crib just now, right? And the guys, they pulled the motorcycle up and cut us off, right? I go, what the fuck is going on here? I said, the one, two dudes dropped off, right? And the one dude was like, oh yeah, man, check out the guy in the passenger seat. Me, my driver, on the passenger seat. The guy laying back in the passenger seat. What's his story? So now I was like, look, and I looked at him, right? And he saw me, he saw my size. He was like, oh, I better not, He's like, I better not. I told my driver, pull over. I'm gonna go out back there and see what this is all. He said, no, don't do that. You know, it was like 3 little punks, you know, like that. You know, the thing about here, that nobody carries guns or whatnot, so you don't have to worry about that. When they do run into a you know, nobody. But here, the safest of that. Like, ask Dion if he ever comes on. Last year when I was here, I was outside a club, right, and I was drunk, and I was in the back seat of the car, right, because we had a flat. My driver had to fix the tire. Dion's in the front of the car, and these women walking by trying to holler at me, because they're light-skinned niggas. Anyway, I'm in the back seat, sleep like a baby one night. People walking, hundreds of people walking by, and I felt more safe than I ever did in America. You think I would fall asleep in a car in New York?
You can't do that shit. They're going hell no.
No, I was like the Bomani's walking back and forth one night. He's still trying to do his thing. And one night he's still out there. He said he ain't ready to go back to the hotel, so he's out there walking around one night. But I'm in the back of the car, the truck, freaking snoring and whatnot, you know, because I'm like waiting for this, my driver to fucking fix the car. So I fell asleep back there, and when I felt more safe, I said, you know, I didn't care, because it was like that's how safe this country is. You know, you'll never have to really worry about something. You will, yeah. There are Zogos out there, anything else. If you look vulnerable, yeah, they'll get you. You know, if you go into certain traffic, you just got to know, spot them, right? They usually on 3 on a motorcycle. You see 3 guys on a motorcycle, watch out.
Watch out.
You see 3 guys on a motorcycle, right, going up to a stop, like when I to a stop sign or like that, watch out. Because what they do is they do like this. One goes around to the driver's side, distract you, but something like that. And the other one comes up and reaches the car and grab whatever the fuck they want to grab. That's how they do it. The guy painting my house, right, the pastor, my wife's pastor, he got jacked today.
What?
Yeah, he got jacked with a cell phone. So every time I go through the red light area, I put my cell phone in my pocket. That's the only place you got to put yourself, because they will jack you, because the traffic is so thick. You got the little KK cars and motorcycles, everything like that, you know, and the confusion and chaos. That's how they get away with it, you know. Well, other than that, man, you don't really have to worry about nothing in Liberia. I tell people just how it is, man. There's lots of opportunity here. Like, it's a peaceful country and everything. That means it's amazing how peaceful. I just wish Black America was like this, man. You know, anytime like a driver's like they was cursing each other out, but then next minute, hey, what's going on? It was stupid. Shut up. Fuck your mother. Learn how to drive. Blah, 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 blah. They never be like, get out the car and fight, you know? It's always like, yeah, just go. Or you beep your horn and whatnot. People are like, okay, sorry, you know. It's, you know, I said to myself, I cannot drive in this country because I lose my temper. You know, I'll have road rage like a motherfucker, you know, but it's know how to drive and whatnot, you know. They fuss each other out. They never fight, you know. Never fight. I was like, I have no idea why this country's so peaceful. I just don't get it, you know. I want to know why South Africa is so violent, you know.
That white shit.
I was just gonna say that.
It has to be it. It just has to be it.
White people, because they every time like that you add that white element, it's violence.
Yeah.
Look, I have to come to that conclusion, right? Because you know, South Africa is like Black America violence, you know.
Yeah.
But Liberia, there's no white people here, and it's like peaceful.
Yeah. It's that violence, the guns and all that.
Think about it.
But think about it, like when our people left the country, you understand, and moved into the cities with the Italians and the Irish and all the motherfuckers. They add it adds some type of thing. You pick up that mafia lifestyle.
Yeah, we always imitate gangsters and stuff like that. Gangs and stuff like that.
The mafia.
Yeah, we don't have a gangster culture. There's no gangster culture really here.
Yeah.
You know, like that, you know. So all right, DK, what's on your mind, bro?
Yeah, you were cooking, Kala. To answer your question, why South Africa so violent? I think it's a case of crabs in the barrel on steroids, where it's like they have this repressed sort of anger.
I know. I think that's it too. They got this anger or not, you know, towards whites, but then whites are just too powerful and scary, so they take it on each other. You know.
Have y'all been there before?
Exactly.
South Africa.
I never been to South Africa. I have no plans to go there.
It's beautiful.
I had the lady that did my Liberian sister that did my pedicure and my manicure. She was in South Africa. She couldn't wait to get out of it. She was there for 5 months. She said that's the worst place in the world. She said every day, people that she would see on the streets, one day, next thing you know, they were killed. She said people stopping dead like crazy over there. You know, she said it's just so much violence and death and everything like that. She's like a death culture. You know,
and the problem is that they have this real anger towards foreign blacks, but the guy who's
take it out on
behind the
foreign blacks.
Western
Yeah.
Cape, the guy who's behind the Western Cape independence is a British immigrant. Is a
I
white
know.
British
Did
immigrant.
you see the video I played?
DK, did they treat you good over there?
Yeah, I mean it's cool. The people are cool there. Johannesburg reminds me of Atlanta in a lot
I hear
of
that a
ways.
lot.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah, I hear that a lot too.
Joburg is good too, man. But I still got to, Hillbrow. I look at some of them areas right there, man. The crime, man, just not my cup of tea, man. You know.
But see, I hear there's a lot of white people in Cape Town. Is that true?
Yeah, white people in Cape Town. There's a lot of black people. Cape Town is white, you know, for the most part. The whole Cape region is white, you know.
It's closer to Mediterranean climate, I think.
Cape Town, yeah, it's like in a temperate zone. It's not tropical.
Yeah, that's why they over there.
Yeah, they couldn't live in Liberia.
The funny thing is that in Cape Town, black people are technically the majority by demographics, but you would never know it just based on when you go out there. The
Black
city
people
is
are the
nothing but white.
majority.
Why is that?
Politically, but a lot of black people don't vote. They, they're not really politically astute when and stuff like that, And also, what the Cape was able to do is divide black people based on background. Like they'll tell the Cape people, black people, Cape, oh, you're not like the Zulus, Bantus, and stuff like that. You're Kikoi, Sand. They have all these other categories for the blacks in the Cape.
You know what's crazy? On the cruise I went to January or something like that. It was buku South Africans. They were cool, but I was trying to talk to this big booty colored chick. And I'm like, she looked black, but she said she wasn't black. I'm like, what the hell? She said she's colored.
I had this one South African chick that came here when I was in the club. The only South African chick I ever knew. She was a colored, right? She was like a color. She could pass for she was like Coretta Scott King, it was like something like that, right?
Yeah.
And she was talking to her when that, but the thing is, though, I met her in the club because I was working there. She was so into black culture. She even though you look at her, okay, she was colored. She didn't look fully black, like she was mixed. But she, in American setting, she identifies as black, because of America.
They love black American culture. They love
black
American. That's what I hear.
The colored people of South Africa like black American, African American culture, They don't really identify with Native African culture. They like black African American culture,
I think they're more like us than West Africans, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, they are. I said that too. I'm throwing out West African bros, man, but just I don't know. There's I want some shit, man. Because of the experience with white people in Southern Africa, But I think that could be it. The experience of white people, racism, colorism, and stuff like that. West Africans really never went through the shit that a lot of black people in the West and Southern Africa and Eastern Africa went through. They didn't have to actually go through being occupied by whites. There's no white settlements in West Africa. There's no white settlers, a white settlement, white cities, anything like that in West Africa. None.
But see, they don't understand the whiteness. They don't get whiteness the way that we do. I mean, they keep running after white people.
Yeah, Chukwu is a perfect example of after dumbass. They really don't think the white people are playing them like fools or whatnot.
They don't get it. They just don't get it.
White people do not give a shit about nobody but themselves, right?
Exactly.
If they can see black people fighting against each other, they get amusement out of that. It's like watching an ant, right? You watch him, you put your foot in front of him, he goes this way, he goes that way, right? Until you get tired of him and you squash him, right?
Right. But see, I mean, that's the thing right there with the whole war back in Ukraine and Russia. These Africans were told to leave and they stayed. And then the Ukrainians kept trying to put the weapons in their hands to get them to fight and die for their country. And so, I mean,
after Ukraine kicked them all out, you sort of Africans, and they have the nerve to come to Africa recruiting them to fight against Russia. I mean, it's just you have Africans sending their young boys over there to Ukraine to die.
I know.
I saw a video of Ukrainians interviewing some Somali guy who got recruited to fight for Russia. He was saying, "Oh, I only went here because they were offering me a job." Like, what kind of job do you think they were going to really offer you? Like, come on now.
Yeah, that's a shame where Africans have to be so desperate. You know, never be in a desperate situation, man. That's why I said, at least in America right now, one thing we could say is, despite all the prop things we don't have, whatever like that, we are not desperate. Let's not act like we're desperate, you know?
Right.
We're not desperate. They can't deport us, you know? They can't deport us. So that's one issue we don't have to worry about, you know? So immigration is not our issue, you know? It's like, okay, we feel bad for you, whatever. But we got other problems, you know? That's not one of them.
I really do think this administration, like you said, I really do think they're testing Black America, just seeing what they can do. They're just testing the boundaries with Black America.
I know, I think they are too. They're seeing how we're gonna react to certain things. Only thing that got my goat when Donald Trump's coming to the Congo. You know, I can't do nothing about South Africa. But
He said going to the Congo.
Yeah, if the freaking president Felix Tshisekedi, whatever his name is, offered Donald Trump all the minerals for protection. Now,
you gotta be lying.
The idea that Paul Kagame is a puppet of the West. So why would he basically bring in Donald Trump to handle Paul Kagame? And Paul Kagame is supposed to be a puppet of the West. See, it doesn't make any logical sense.
If he thinks he can do a deal with racist Trump, he's out of his mind.
So why did you take that bitch over there?
This fool. Donald Trump don't give up nobody. You know what's dangerous about, you know, a thing I disagree about Donald Trump, you know, I voted for him, right? You could be America first, but you can't be America only, you know? You can't do that. You know, you cannot basically say, screw the rest of the world, America first, or like that, you know? Okay, the world's been screwing America over, getting over on aid and stuff like that. I get that, you know? There's a way how to do it rather than just let's cut all the aid off and stop everything, whatnot, because a lot of these countries needed that money, you know?
But then you got
today that said funded by, it was a health thing in Liberia, it was funded by USAID, you know? I was like, but it was shut down, you know? So there's a lot of things that got shut down here that was really working that got shut down because of the cutting aid, you know? I don't think that's right, you know? I don't think that's right. So, but he's testing us, see how we react to this stuff like this, you know. Now, as far as like the immigration and stuff like that, Black America don't really care about that shit, you know. We don't really care, you know, about.
No, we don't.
Or the DEI, you know, because bottom line is this: just like we didn't care about affirmative action when the Supreme Court rulings for like they said, "Oh, we got them this time," and Black people like, "Okay, you don't want us in your colleges, right? We'll just go to our own."
Yeah.
And now the Asians look stupid because the legacy people moved in and took all those spots, you know? They thought they were going to benefit. Now there's less Asians in it now, you know?
Yeah. And actually, affirmative action was benefiting Asians more than Black people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But they made it seem like affirmative action benefited Black people at the expense of Asians. And they went along with that stupid nonsense. And they cut themselves up. But hey, it is what it is.
Exactly. It benefited white women and a little bit more Asian, but then they just got rid of it. They became their own demise.
So they can't ask you things like gender. What it is this: you got to have a certain amount of education to get in Harvard, right? Yeah, a certain level. Everybody's let's say we got this all same SAT scores. You did this and everything, but things that get you into a college is what is your position on this? What do you do as far as volunteering in the community? And I think there's a problem is a lot of Asian people have no personality. You know,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where Black people benefited was because, you know, when we're in college, you know, you do work in community centers. That goes on your resume. I worked in a community center for this. I worked in a homeless shelter. I did this. Did that. All that is stacked on your resume. When they look at that and say, you're the type of person we want to be in a thing, you know, because you help assisted with minorities, disadvantaged groups, everything like that. Asians don't do that. So when they don't do that and they don't get those extra points, right? They think they're being discriminated against. No, it's just that when you got Blacks and Hispanics, they're more likely to work in shelters. They're more likely to work with rape victims and stuff like things that basically purport to the value of the institution. You know, what do you think about climate? You know, the biggest thing is climate change. You know, you got You gotta have this something in the climate change, whatever like that, something like that, or now the LGBTQ. Well, now you gotta cater to all those different demographics, minorities, LGBTQ, climate, and everything like that. If you're not doing all that, then you get your application gets passed over for somebody who did. Even though you may have the grades, but all the other stuff they look at. With affirmative action, get rid of, they basically took all that away and went strictly just on grades, and basically said that, a college could bring in people they want to. They can't use other criteria to admit people. They just have to basically look at the grades and that's it. And basically Asians didn't freaking fare well because the white legacy students probably had similar grades and they got in, What's the point of having Asians? Because they can't say, well, we think that you participate in the Asian community and everything like that. We think that's good. That's one of the criteria. But they got rid of all that. So now the Asian people have nothing to offer, What do you have to offer? Look, here's how many Asian people right now? Like what, 9 billion of these people? How is that? You got 9 billion people. I mean, that's just China alone. And billions of people throughout Southeast Asia all coming to try to get in a few Ivy League schools in America. That's not sustainable, These people are coming off the boat, right? Wanting to get into the top institutions in America. Weren't born here, didn't do nothing, but they think they're entitled to a top institution. And the white people are telling them, no, you're not. Yes, right now, who they're attacking right now? That Vivek Ramaswamy, the right wing in America.
Yeah, they are.
Attacking him left and right, Because they're saying, Vivek, you want to use that H-1 visa, whatever like that, to replace white people with Indians, So this race shit just comes out all of a sudden, man, They're like, you're bringing this, your H-1 visa people, and that one chick, that conservative comedian, Leonardo Jolie, right? She said, Vivek, you cannot change the story of America. America was founded by white European settlers, You can't just come here and in one generation you're an American like we are. I was like, wow. This is what you're dealing with right now. The white people are saying, no, you're not going to replace us, They don't want Vivek Ramaswamy and all his talk about get tech education when not Indians. They don't care about the Indians. Indians are up a rude awakening. They're getting deported left and right. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah,
I have noticed that.
Yeah, white people are like, we're tired of y'all too, man. Y'all gotta go. They gotta go. All these people that stood against black people, they're getting their wake up call.
I mean, they just never understood because, like Vivek, he always thought he was white. And
I know. The bottom line is this: it's all right if Vivek would have married a white woman and basically didn't talk about immigration. When he started talking about immigration and H-1 visas, that's when they said,
And see, not only that, but then when he said that we need to hire more people like Screech and Steve Urkel on that interview, and he said we keep hiring these jocks that don't know nothing. I said he's talking about white America. He's talking about white America.
Yeah. So the bottom line, they didn't like that stuff, man.
No.
White America basically don't like to be told that there's something they need to improve about themselves and they need to do better. They don't like that shit.
No, they don't.
They like it when guys like Vivek are shitting on black people, though.
Exactly.
They're okay with that.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, when you talk about black people, when he was when Vivek went on the Breakfast Club and all that stuff like that. Oh yeah, Vivek. When you start talking about white people, y'all need to do better or whatever like that. Oh no, the rules change. They're like, They're like, no.
Yeah.
You can't be talking about us.
See, I already knew it was gonna come because when he kept saying, "Yeah, those Americans," never once did he say black or anything like that. We already knew he was talking about. We already knew. I said to myself, "This man's talking about white America to their faces, giving specific examples." And I said to myself, "White America is gonna get you. White America is gonna get you." Even when Ann Coulter said on television.
Oh yeah, Ann Coulter said, "Look," she goes, "I wouldn't vote for you because you're Indian."
That's
I was like, "Damn, man."
And then he tried to flip the script like, oh, it's because of my religion. No, it's not. The white woman just told you she ain't gonna vote for your brown ass. Excuse my language, but she already told you that.
Honestly, you have to be white, you know, in this country to be that's let's be honest with ourselves. You know, that's why Donald Trump won. Really, that's not everything, but not to mention Kamala sucked and whatnot. But it is what it is, man. You know, they're like this. You know, America wanted to get back to normal. You know, they just wanted to get back. Normal is seeing a white man in charge. Look, I have no problem with that, right? But I do have a problem with him stepping on our toes and whatnot. When he's going into Africa and shit like that, you know, that's going beyond the pale. You know, that's the only problem I have with Donald Trump. This domestic policy, I got no problem with. You know, I don't like what he's doing in South Africa. I don't like what he's doing in the Congo and whatnot. You know, and whatever else. We still like see what else is he got up his sleeves. You know these freaking. You got Nigeria. DK, this is for you. You have Chukwu thinking that there's 5 million Nigerians about to buy a couple of $1 million gold green card to come to America. If they got $5 million, like millions of Nigerians got $5 million, how come they can't help out the people in Makoko? How come they can't build indoor plumbing in Banana Island? You know,
it's unfortunately it's the mentality where they feel like they can stunt and like that's a come up, but like your country, it doesn't matter as long as your country's poor. Like Nigeria is a poor country.
Nigeria is a basket case, man. This is sad. TK, I said earlier, Tinubu, whatever his name is, right, is worth $9 billion, right? He was complaining about $200 million worth of aid being cut from the United States. Couldn't he take $200 million of his money and become a guarantor and get a loan to cover that amount as being a guarantor and sell stocks and bonds and everything like that?
They don't have that mindset.
What would hurt him if he took $200 million of his own money and just become a guarantor, which he could float a bond on, you know?
But that's how a true leader would think. But Tinubu's not a leader. He's an overseer for Western interests.
Yeah, and also like I said on Kaizo's show today, I said, FB said we should stay out of African business. No, African business is our business, FB, you moron. You know, because we're now globally connected, just like the white business in South Africa is Donald Trump's business, you know, because it's a race thing, you know. I told on Kaizo's show, and I said this guy, Nigeria first guy, I said, unfortunately, I had to burst his bubble. He's talking about Nigeria, this, Nigeria, that. I said, you know how you get rich in Nigeria? It's one, you got to be politically, socially connected, right? Once you got connected to power, right? Now the state is going to need certain things. It's going to need energy, electricity, procurements, and all stuff like this. You know, construction, everything like that. Somebody has to build it, right? So since they don't have the technology, they bring foreigners in, right? Now the foreigners were like, okay, I'll come in and build this one. I'm gonna get a contract to build this, $10 million contract to build this, $100 million to build this. What they do is they form a corporation, right? And by Abiolo, blah, 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 right? And he's like the CEO, but what they do is they have everything is put under this corporation, right? And he may only have 10% of every different entity, right? But those 10% add up. And next thing you know, you got your next Nigerian billionaire. Same way they did in Angola with the Dos Santos. You think the Dos Santos was smart? No. Anytime there was diamonds, oil, whatever like that, foreign companies came in, particularly Russians and everybody else, and they basically got a piece of it. That's how you become a billionaire in Africa, you know, not through hard work, not through science, technology, and stuff like that, like Asians do. That's how you do it. He got mad. No, that ain't how you do it, Carl. I said, look at Dangote, right? There's not one thing that Dangote makes himself. Everything is outsourced, you know. There's not one Nigerian supplier to the Dangote Corporation. Everything is the Turks, the South Koreans, and all these other people that supply his supply chain, everything from logistics to everything like that, you know? So this global supply chain that supplies him everything like that for that refiner and everything else he does. There's no
even on to this day, they still haven't nationalized their oil. And I don't know why.
I know they have not added nationalized oil. Just take the shit over, you know?
Are you serious, DK?
Yeah,
No, you have not nationalized the oil industry. It's still owned by
they're
the
not.
British,
They're not.
Dutch, Royal Dutch.
Nigeria is not an oil producing country. They just let people come and take the oil.
No, it's not
and
an
they get
oil
all
producing
this
country.
money.
You know, it's basically they let people siphon oil out of their ground. You know, and give them a pittance for it.
But
Oil producing is like Russia and like Bahrain and Qatar. They produce the oil, they refine it, and they ship it overseas to markets.
Actually, the funny thing is that Nigeria is not even the largest oil producer. They have the most oil reserves, but actually Algeria showed the blueprint. When after Algeria fought the war against France, they nationalized the oil, created a state oil company called
Check this out.
Sonatrach.
Same thing with Iran. Iran did that, and they basically overthrew a democratic. The America overthrew a democratic elected government and installed the Shah because they nationalized the oil industry, just like Algeria.
Algeria's oil company, Sonatrach, has over 200,000 employees and is like supposedly the largest company in Africa. I just looked that up. That's crazy.
But then why can't Nigeria get it together with their oil? Because I mean,
because they're not nationalistic. They're not nationalistic.
Nigeria is like Black America. It's just not living up.
Worse. They're worse.
Not living up to the potential. Not living up to the potential.
Damn.
Not even
and
like
they gotta stay.
Saudi Arabia.
Nigerians gotta start seeing themselves as a nation. They don't see themselves as a nation. You know, it's like, what is Nigeria? You know, you got all these different entities. We're not pushed together by force. It's not a nation. Nation is us, man, because we have the same culture. You know, same history and everything like that. You can't, you know. I don't know. See, the thing is, the French were all different groups. They came together to become Frenchmen. Why can't Nigeria basically say Nigeria's not a monolith? We know that. That's the problem, FB. Nigeria is not a friggin' a monolith. That's what the problem is. You know, it's not homogeneous. They gotta at least agree on some things and whatnot, you know. Burkina Faso is more of a homogeneous society. That's why they're
Colin, the problem is that Nigeria is a white man's creation, like most African countries.
But Lord Lugard created Nigeria. He literally said the nigger area. That's what really what it was. He threw it up on a napkin over dinner with his girlfriend, you know. This is my nigger area, you know. Just put these people together and said, make it work, you know.
So there's no idea of nationalism. So really, Nigeria needs to be divided into at least two countries, two or three.
I think they should let Eastern Nigeria become Biafra. I think Amazonia and Cameroon. Why is it that Cameroon, English-speaking Cameroon, Amazonia could be a freaking game changer? We should basically start pushing for America. Like I said, we basically, if Black America had our own political party, we could say this is what we want as far as U.S. policy in Africa. You know.
Well, you know, I was looking into Cameroon because, like, I know they're still killing each other over there over who speaks English and who speaks French. But I was looking at the English-speaking part of Cameroon, and it looks like it has a little promise over there.
It's called Amazonia. I have a couple of Amazonians in my BAL group. I created a group with them, you know, years ago, and there was this group called Organization of Emerging African States, you know, that they try to crush. I said, I joined it. I said, yeah. I said, I put it down, emerging state, the African, where we don't know yet.
Oh, man.
And so the Amazonia, if we could work something out the Amazonia, half of that could be in African, you know, that'd be problem solved right there. If they could ever, but the bottom line is, what is it about Africa, right? Like, they're actually considering independence for the Western Cape and South Africa, right? But if you even say you want independence in an African country, they'll rain down hell on you, you know? You saw what the Nigerian government did to Biafra? 2 million people died. When it comes to white people trying to see, they're really talking about building an Afrikaner republic in not just the Western Cape, but they're also talking about an Afrikaner republic in Northern Cape.
Yeah, they got Elon Musk and Donald Trump backing, man.
Yeah, so they got all these big, powerful people backing them. I'm like, you know, a case could be made for Amazonia's independence, right? You know, from Cameroon, but ain't nobody backing it. We have no fucking power. Like I said, we're wasting our fucking life in America, man. We should be able to do more for Africa and the world. We can't do shit as long as we're in America and these people ruling over us,
But
I mean
see,
that,
every single time, but see, Colin, when we try to help people in Africa, they end up sabotaging us. I mean, with all these land scams and land frauds, and then
That's why you got to go to a country, like I tell people all the time, go to a country like Liberia. Why? Because in Liberia, it's like America. You could actually own property and deed in your land. You don't have to worry about no chief and everything. You know what we did with those chiefs about 200 years ago? We put our foot up their ass and said, y'all behave. Stay over there. We'll stay over here. You mind your business. We mind ours. And that's why Liberia is a free country,
Mm-hmm.
But when you got paramount chiefs and everybody grifting off you and whatnot, this is, you got land scams in Africa, but that's why you got to go to a country that you don't have that. Liberia, we don't have that in Liberia,
Yeah.
Bontu King. Is that dollar bill? Bontu King?
That's not a dollar bill.
Oh.
I think Black Americans should just pick a spot and just bum rush it and take it by force. Maybe.
Well, I say so too, man. I think we should basically.
Yeah, that's what I say we should do to America. But dude, they say I'm a radical when I say that. So
check us out. Like the model I want to use is California and Texas. They were both part of Mexico, but how they get independence? Occupation. They brought more of their people in. And then after a while, they start causing all this trouble, and the people got the host country got weaker, and then they end up seceding. That's what we're going to do eventually. But we need large numbers of people going to the continent and concentrate in certain areas in large numbers and whatnot. We need that. We need a pioneering force. So how that's going to happen, I don't know, but that's what we need. Occupation
like a
of the
country
land.
like Namibia. Like Namibia is sparsely populated. That's what
Namibia would be a good country. Angola to me is the best country because it's green. It's more green. Namibia's kind of dry. But then again, underneath Namibia, there's like the Kalahari Desert. There's like 50 billion cubic feet of water underneath that shit. Africa's water potential, as far as like this great the rivers, African rivers. And also the water underneath the Sahara and the thing they could quench the thirst of the planet. That's how much water potential is in Africa. Probably the most powerful resource in Africa. If Africa developed this water purification, start shipping water throughout the world and stuff like that, it'd be fucking rich just on water alone. But the African mind doesn't think like that. Gaddafi did it. You see what Gaddafi did, right? He took the desert, right, and he irrigated the desert with water that was underneath. He built wells in the desert, and he had plenty of water supplies to the the Sahara in southern Libya. Amazing.
They built Dubai in the desert, so
so it is what it is. But you just gotta have the mindset. Like I said,
even Namibia.
If Africans don't want to do nothing, get out of our way, we could do something.
Yeah, in Namibia, they just had like recently a huge discovery of oil and gas, like off the shore.
Good.
So that could be a huge boom.
That's always a good thing, man. I wish Liberia would discover oil and gas, man. It'd be on its way, But Liberia hasn't had the luck yet, Hasn't had that luck yet, But but it is what it is. Well, we just gotta keep pushing on and whatnot, and just doing what we're doing. We're doing the right thing, building with Africa, at least expressing interest in the continent, talking about it and stuff like that. That's the way to go. We got to become more global. And you become more global starts with us building in Africa,
But see, Colin, like when it comes to saying this to just African people on the ground or just African people in position of power, why don't you think they get it? Because it seems like they like to run to the white man for help. And I mean, we're not trying to hurt them. It's just we know what we see. We know the potential. Why don't you think they want it?
Yeah, the bottom line is that the African does not think in terms of like 100 years or something like that. They only plan for the next day, And so they leave the 100-year planning and stuff like that to the white man, Yeah. So in other races of people, that's sad, but it's the truth, though. We have that mindset. We think, okay, design, cause and effect. If you do this now, this is what we're going to happen in the future. You know, that's how we think. You know,
exactly.
They don't think like that. That's why they never see our vision. You know, that's why they don't fight with us.
So they want the instant. They don't want delayed gratification.
They don't want delayed gratification. They want that instant gratification now. Like I said, I look. There's a company called City Builders here in Liberia. That's where everybody gets. If you're building a house, building anything from toilets to ceiling, tile, everything like that, City Builders have it. Everything. You know, pillars, everything. You know, cement, concrete, whatever like that. Yeah, you have to know that's fucking Lebanese. And I said to somebody all night, you know, that all the stuff. How much of that stuff you think is made in Lebanon? None. You know what City Builders get all that stuff from? China. We asked some discussion. How is it that the Lebanese are bringing crucial stuff in from China and whatnot, you know, and no black businesses in West Africa could do something like that because it probably, when they did City Builders, it probably said, look, it's going to be 5 years before we see a profit.
Wow.
We're probably going to be in debt, borrowing for 5 years. Then after 5 years, we'll break even, you know? After we break even, then we gotta start thinking about how we pay ourselves. And then after another 5 years, 10 years, we might see a profit, you know? How many black businesses, African businesses, you honestly think is gonna wait 10 years to see a profit? None. None. There's no way a Nigerian will sit there and say, oh, you know, I'm gonna wait out 10 years and everything like that. And City Builders was good because the government of Liberia said, okay, basically you got an exclusive contract, basically. I mean, all the new buildings, you see beams and everything like that. City Builders supplies almost all the building materials in this country, you know? You got a couple of smaller companies, whatever like that, but not on this level, man. You got to go to City Builders. My guy Dion went there and said, man, but he said, the toilets, right? He says he can get toilets for cheaper from Chicago, you know? He said the toilets are high markup in City Builders, you know? Anybody who does home renovations and anything like that understands also. You want doors, you want everything, you know? Everything is to build a house, City Builders have it. They're Lebanese.
And no,
you know?
and no Liberian owns the store City Builders.
I seriously doubt it. I know there's Liberians working there.
What?
Liberians working there. But the thing is, there's another place that was actually a successful model. It's called China Mall, right? Now, in China Mall, everything in there is made in China, right? You can get a microwave, you know, silverware, pots, pans, anything you want in China Mall, right? But it's half owned by Liberians, you know? Half owned by Chinese. That actually works, right? Because in Liberia, really, you have to have Liberian partners. But I don't think City Builders is owned by Liberians at all, you know? China Mall is actually pretty good. None of that, most of the people working there are Liberians, you know? They got a lot of people working there, security and everything like that, helpers that are Liberians and cashiers and stuff like that. But they got everything you need, boy, light fixtures, everything you need for your house and everything like that. Whether it's a toaster, whether it's computers, whether it's printers, everything China Mall has, all made in China. But the land it sits on is owned by Liberians, you know, because you can't like this. They built the China Mall on Liberian land, somebody's property, you know, and you know it's like half ownership, you know, so that's how they're able to do it. It's half and half by Liberians and Chinese. So I like that. I like about Liberia is when you see Lebanese that own buildings. There's so many buildings here that need renovation for sale. You know, Liberia is just full of nothing but buildings, abandoned buildings, and buildings going up. That's all you see is miles and miles of buildings, you know, built from back in the 60s and whatnot, you know. And both thing is, when you see Lebanese, they'll rent out a building, whatever like that, but they're paying rent to somebody Liberian. You know? Yeah. And one thing you do see about Liberia, you do see the buildings, even City Builders, I bet you the property they're on is owned by Liberians. That's a trade-off. You know, the building, it's a nice brand new building, but I know the property is owned by some big time Liberian, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
That's a good thing about Liberia. Our ancestors created this country. So eventually we could probably have a country to come back to. You know, that's the beauty about Liberia. It's like you come to Liberia, you can easily open a business, a corporation. In fact, you know, my corporation, but I had to renew my corporation. I got to pay my papers up tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
finance department. You know, I got to pick up my corporation papers tomorrow. It took me like a week to get it done to renew. But
But
you know,
but do you think like the
huh?
potential? I said, do you think like the potential in Liberia is there though? Like
Yeah,
for
look. The thing is this. I think what could be a potential is this. If Black people from America decide to build a community, a self-contained community, right? But you always got to have an anchor. What I don't see in Ghana is I see people building communities, but they don't build any businesses around it. You know. For example, let me give you a perfect example I'm talking about. Liberia has a lot of rubber, right? And the bottom line is the people who got a monopoly on Liberia's rubber, the rubber tappers all sell the Firestone. And they get ripped off with like that Firestone tire. And process the rubber and ship it out. What Liberia has been working for years is to make rubber manufacturing, tires, everything. Now I had a guy that wanted to come over here and make tires out of Liberia, but on the ground, stuff like that, it was very difficult. But I'm gonna make that happen eventually. But I want to start getting serious investors, right? Serious investors to basically build tires. And if I could basically do this, these Liberians don't think like I do. I said I have friends of mine. They got lots of land in Liberia, lots of land, dozens of acres of land, right? I said you got to take a couple of those acres of land and build an industrial park, right? Once you build an industrial park, right? I don't care if I have to partner with the Chinese. Build an industrial park, right? Where it has hundreds of tiny warehouses and everything like that. And then basically bring in businesses to manufacture things like rubber, and palm oil, and stuff like that, you know, and ship it throughout the world, whatever like that. That's a basis of Black people from America coming there and building. So, because you have an economic activity going on, right?
Yeah.
Doing textile work or processing food or processing rubber, all stuff like this. Those are things you could actually do because there's plenty of raw materials here. Lumber is another thing, right? Somebody could open a lumber mill and do lumber and whatnot because lumber making and furniture making is big in Liberia. You know, I mean, they make furniture and beds here. It's unbelievable. The craftsmanship here, as far as woodworking, lumber, and furniture making, is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So therefore, lumber industry and stuff like that, steel fabrication, there's all stuff that can be done, but that really takes a commitment from the government and policy. You know, you need government policy to facilitate that. You know, so how we get that to that point, I have no idea because I don't. It's like I talk about stuff like this, but see, all that stuff takes years and hard work. But if we're building communities in these countries, right, it's well worth it. You know,
I agree, but I mean, but Carla, like the Liberians don't see that floor plan. Like, I mean, that's just not. That's
yeah, but then you gotta say
us.
something to them. That's a lot of work. To us, it's nothing. That's normal, but to them,
right,
that's a lot of work. It's hard work. All they see is like how they could benefit today, and then do something. Then tomorrow they can see results in their bank account. They don't see the long term plans and stuff like that. Now, I tell you one thing: what you will have is this: when you start building these things, right?
Yeah,
Liberian labor is so abundant and cheap. The average person who works for like $10 a day, he's gonna love you because he's making money. That's where your support system is gonna come from. It ain't gonna come from that political bourgeois class of Liberians, you know?
Yeah.
It's gonna come from the ordinary person on the ground that's making money in his pocket every day. You feed, because part of it was when people working for you, you gotta feed them, you know? You usually go out and have a what they call oma, something like that, make a whole thing of rice and some fish, fried fish, whatever like that. And and you feed your workers, you know? Workers getting fed and they're getting paid. That's the Liberian way. That's what I did right now in my house right now. I got guys working there. I had to bring them some food, you know? So they're not making a whole lot of money, but I'm feeding them. But you could here, Liberia, labor is so cheap. You can get shit done, you know, because labor is cheap. Now they work a little different than we do, you know. That's the Ubuntu way. They don't work really on the with the whip. Okay, you gotta keep working, brother. You slacking when they sort of work at their own pace, you know, but they get the job done.
It's not like in the States here. They don't do it like here.
No, that don't go over well in Africa, you know. You know, they get the job done, but you know, you gotta leave them on their own. Like you say, okay, I need you to paint the house, right? You gotta give them the paint and everything like that, you know, say I'll be back this afternoon. Okay, you see how they go, and then you leave, you know. Don't stand over them like you know, this, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You can make a point, like me, we started moving our stuff in. We're telling them, you gotta hurry up, you know. There's a certain way you say it, you know. Look, you know, we gotta move in, you know. Like tomorrow, we're supposed to move in tomorrow, you know. Hopefully, they're done. Supposed to clean. The guy paid his kid extra $25. The one kid, he was doing work on the flooring. I paid him $25 to clean the place. There's all dirt all over the place now, dust. And he's gonna mop the place up. It looked good, you know. It looked good. He cleaned the place up, polished the floor and everything like that, you know. And so that's how it works, you know. I tell you what, you know, this is definitely a place, man. What we need basically is major black businesses. I don't know how we're gonna do it right. We need major African American businesses to invest. You always gotta have that. You always gotta have that anchor business, right? That everybody else falls in line and follows them. You know,
yeah.
Like if got Mr. Hightower of Hightower Petroleum to come to Liberia and rebuild the refinery, right? Like dozens and hundreds of small black businesses will follow him. You know.
Wow.
Everything. You see how it works?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that creates the structure of your community because he's now a leader. You know, that's how leadership got to be in America. Not somebody getting up there with a freaking YouTube channel or freaking just because somebody ever to be somebody like Stephen Hightower. You know, should be a leader because he's building a business, a major business in Africa, just like the Blacks Without Borders. You know, all those people that went to Blacks Without Borders, those are leaders. Yeah. You know. Because they were leading us someplace, you know. People are following them because they're big business people. You know, we have to start putting our business people out in front. You know, You know. So if we do that, Bob Johnson took leadership when he built the Kendeja Resort 14 years ago in Liberia. You know, That's leadership. We need people. We need leadership in Liberia for Black America in Liberia. I believe Liberia right now has it. I could do it, you know. I think it should be things like manufacturing. We got to move to that level, you know. I think we got the hotel and stuff like that, but we need more manufacturing. That's going to create jobs and really opportunity for the local people and stuff like that, and we can all make money. But we also need. I put this proposal out there. I'm still waiting for somebody to create a virtual AI, artificial intelligence of it. We need our own stock exchange. You know,
that'd be nice. That'd be really nice. No,
you need our own stock exchange. Yes.
Does Liberia have that?
Liberia doesn't have a stock exchange. But this is what the thing is. This, I'll be honest with you, right? I would not trust the Liberians to run it, right? What we can do is build a trading platform, right? Build a trading platform, tether with all the different exchanges around the world, right? And then start listing our own for companies, right? And then open up a floor in Liberia, you know, a trading floor in Liberia. Wouldn't that work?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just need somebody to help me put it together, you know? That's what I want. I want that proposal.
You said no Liberians. You said no Liberians. You said no Liberians.
No, we run the thing. We'll be Liberians on there, but who do you think's gonna run it? If we have to be compliant with SEC laws and stuff like that, you know?
Right.
Now let me ask you a question. Would you want to put your money into Nigeria Stock Exchange? Hell no. With all this inside trading shit? Hell no.
No.
You know, so we has to have the exit solvency and has to have a enforcement mechanism in America. So basically, I think it should be run in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trading on that, but on the continent, like people could buy stuff and stuff like that. You know, I don't know how that would work. How would you force it on another country?
I mean, to be quite frank, it would be some very strict, strong. In my mind, it's
however, let me tell you something. I have never had any problem with Liberian banking or anything like that. The money transfer or something like that.
Yeah,
I've never had any problem with that. So it could be that maybe we could probably have the same luck with an exchange.
I mean, we could, but I mean, we have to heavily monitor it with very, very strict guidelines and everything.
Yeah, the guideline. We would have to get the top MBAs of Black America.
Exactly.
Like 5 or 6 top Black people designing it, managing it, and everything like that. The CEO of it,
Yeah.
That's the sort of talk that I want to have with people. Black people have. All this back and forth about Donald Trump is not doing a shit.
But see, my thing is this though, Carl. I mean, African people don't think like this in Africa. I mean, like this is normal in the States, but I'm just saying they don't think like this in Africa. Like I heard about it being done in Mauritius, their stock exchange, but what about on the west coast of Africa or west?
Now Ghana has a stock exchange, not that big. So is Nigeria. And they have an exchange when that stock exchange for different things. I think Dangote's listed, a couple of Nigerian banks are listed, and everything like that. They got a stock exchange, but the bottom line, they were often in crews of being insolvent and doing a lot of inside trading and stuff like that. So it's that's the whole thing. You got to have the public. When people put that money in your stock or not, you got to your correct earnings. But we had that happen in America.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah. AIG and all that.
Yeah.
When they were doing toxic derivatives and they were basically fudging earning reports and everything like that.
Yeah,
and
Bernie Madoff and all that. Yeah. Yeah.
So if it can happen in America, you know it can happen in Africa.
Right, but I mean,
you have to have it it has to be so serious that honestly, we're gonna have to partner with a major exchange, like in America, like an index and stuff like that. We have to be tethered to there, whatnot, and the oversight and everything has to be an agreement between us and the United States government, Liberia, and where we're gonna put this exchange at. So the whole idea is like it's basically the exchange was gonna make money because it's gonna be tethered to all the exchange, the correct exchanges around the continent, like the Johannesburg exchange. Whatever you want to do, the Tokyo exchange, whatever like that. We can buy currencies, whatever, crypto, whatever like that, right? And then once the exchange grows to a certain point, then you can start listing, taking a risk and listing companies that you think that's going to do well in Liberia or something like that. Like to say, such as rubber company, whatever like that. And then you give Liberians a chance to invest in their own country,
Yeah.
Invest in their own country, so. You might have the Liberian Liberian LEC, that's a Liberian Electric Corporation. It's owned by the state. Maybe they might want to list half their shares on the exchange, Give Liberians and everybody a chance to own. And that's how you raise capital, Instead of going, Africans don't think like that. You got to raise capital. The private sector is how you raise capital,
They don't, I mean, African people don't think like that on the continent. I mean,
so in South Africa they do, what you call it, Angola has a nice exchange, corrupt, but it has an exchange. Kenya has an exchange. They've been learning for the last 20 or 30 years, but the only people that don't have an exchange right now is Liberia, Sierra Leone, and I believe Liberia's exchange could be, let's say companies listed are hotel companies and hotel and hospitality. And so like Liberia has a lot of nice hotels, and basically you give people a chance to own something in their country. If people feel like they're part of their country, especially in things like hotel, hospitality, transportation, stuff like that, importing, export. The bottom line, anything that can be listed that they need money, agriculture, like farmers, commodities, a commodities exchange, whatever like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. So all these things are possible, but we just need people organizing it,
And after all this time, like I'm I'm really digging this, but I mean, I just want to see the potential in all this stuff. Because I mean,
well, we just have to keep studying, man. You have to keep studying, keep doing your homework and whatnot. You know, if you got something that you discover, come share with us, man. I don't know everything, you know, so I just need people sharing information, going out there doing their own homework. That's what I do the show for.
yeah.
Give people ideas. You know, how would the stock exchange? How would we do that? You know, wherever there's a will, there's a way. You know, how do we do that? Principally says that I'm not one of my ancestors. That's not disrespectful. It's saying, look, we're not our ancestors, right? If people want to keep talking all this stuff about us, we got other options. You know, like I said, I'm in Liberia right now because I really do think we have a future here. You know, I'm not my ancestors. I'm not gonna sit here and take your shit the rest of my life. You know, I got other options. You know, I am not my ancestors. My ancestors would say, I'll love you no matter how much you hate me, love me, I'll turn the other cheek. No, I'm not that person. You know, I can't be that. Hope you mean, with respect, not going to devalue Native and feel like, how am I devaluing somebody's life? Have I said anything devaluing tonight, DJ or G? You know, I'm being behaved tonight.
No, you say.
I'm not saying nothing devaluing. That's what this inferiority complex people have, you know? They basically, call you devaluing the native. Look, I'm basically trying to pick the natives up, you know? Try to pick the natives, Africans up, because the bottom line is this. You look at the current leadership in Africa, they don't give a shit, you know? They really don't. You know, so, yeah, if we have, like I said on Dynasty Show, I said, on Kaiser Show today, I said, we have the potential of funneling literally billions of dollars to Africa. Billions, you know? But the thing is, people have to know when they invest in stocks and bonds, stuff like that, that the money is going to be, you're going to turn a profit. You're going to turn the thing. We also so much stock trading, the stocks have to be worth something, you know? And all it takes is if you have a business entity and the business is actually making money or have value or real. In other words, if you say I'm going to build a tire plant, right? Let's say it costs $1 million to start this tire processing plant, right? $1 million worth of capital, right? That means you sell up about 1 million shares, whatever like that. Okay, once the thing is up and running, right? Now the value of that stock is now worth 10 million. Now you can either hold the stock, right? Or trade the stock. What do you want to do? You know?
Right.
Or somebody could come in and buy up your stock and whatever like that. So that's how you make money on a stock exchange. Buy a stock, you know, you buy a stock at one price, right? And you wait on it, right? See it's successful, right? See it's successful. Most type it is. In startup countries, it always is because it's usually something that's vitally needed, something that really has no competition, you know. What usually hurts businesses sometimes, like let's say you have let's say Speed Stick comes out with a new Speed Stick, right? You buy a bunch of stocks in the Speed Stick, right? Because it's going to go, right? But let's say Right On comes along, you know, Right On, but I think it's called Right On, whatever. Right Guard comes on, and they have the same fragrance, even better, right? Suddenly that goes up, and then your Speed Stick goes down, right? You see how competition works? You know? But what happens when there's no competition at all? You see what I mean? That's the beauty of what you're doing when you're initially building a stock exchange. Everything's going to be a profit, you know?
Yeah.
Everything, you know? Your goal is just to make sure it basically carries out and becomes functional and operational. That's all you really have to do is invest in something and get it operational. That's it.
But you know what, Call? Like I keep hearing about the country Botswana. I heard that's really developing too, and that's on the up and up.
What's Botswana?
Yeah, Botswana.
Botswana. Yeah, Botswana. Oh yeah, Botswana's off the chain. They got a diamond and jewelry industry. Their stock exchange is booming, you know.
Now, can that be a place for Afghanistan as well, or no?
Well, when I say Afghanistan, I mean a potential independent state. I mean, we can go to, but I would urge anybody to move to. You could build an African American community there that could be part of the Afghanistan. Remember something: the Afghanistan is going to be many different communities. Your neighborhood in Louisiana might be part of the Afghanistan. You know?
Yeah.
If you could build it, but it's hard because who's going to invest in it? Look, let me give you an example. You heard of Edenton, Florida?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, now Edenton is really poor because there's no investment.
Yeah.
There's nobody investment, there's nothing there. What if basically Edenton started build a lithium processing plant? That'd be great, right?
Yeah.
To bring money, revenue, and everything like that, but it'd be a boom thing. But since the powers that be, we're not the ones in power, that's never going to happen. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you have, let's say we happen to get luck up and whatnot, and we're able to basically make Edenton an industrial hub where our people could live, like a Soul City, whatever like that, then it becomes part of the African,
Yeah.
global African, Right now, any community that we have that we don't control the economics and the industries is not an African, African could be anywhere. It could be in America, it could be Africa, anything, anywhere we make a stand. Right now, we don't have communities where we're making a stand, brother. We're sitting down, we're kneeling. Stand is when we own shit, we own everything in our community, everything around us. We control the social, economics, and political of our area. That's an African, simply. It may have an independent politically African, like an African state, but it's part of the African,
Right.
And once I start telling people that, like, so people, I ain't going to Africa. Okay, then create an African in your community. Go to Detroit and Gary and start rehabbing some of them abandoned steel mills. Create jobs. Build housing, in your community,
Now, Colin,
system.
Well, then let me ask you this. You don't think, and I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, but I'm just saying, you don't think that from the previous history of our past, of what has been done to us and our people, that there's some of us, or there's some people that are just scared to do so? That they're scared
it
to go
is.
out there and live?
Exactly. Because what it is black people are scared of failure. We've been humiliated so many times by these movements, the Garvey movement, the Nation of Islam. We've been humiliated so many times that black people don't want any more humiliation. They rather ignore the shit, and like Tariq Nasheed types with, oh man, it's like we're walking away from our history, because we've been having. That's why I said when I started the African movement, right? One thing I know is I cannot fail. I cannot fail. Any possible thing of failure, I've already mapped out. Actually, because Black America can't go through another failure. If this catches on, Black people start embracing me or embracing this movement, I gotta deliver. And so basically, my philosophy is something that I know is gonna work. Like I told you, I said if we ever got together and build our own stock exchange, first of all, our own exchange, we could make our own app first. That's all we need to do is make our own app with a whole bunch of exchanges like Robinhood, whatever like that around the world, right?
Right.
And then once you get that growing on, right, then you could probably open up your own trading platform, and crypto trading and stuff like that, Then you got to find a permanent place, right? Because in America, the federal government is going to be taxed by the federal government. But even though, let's say you go to a country like Liberia, whatever like that, it's going to be difficult because you still got to use the U.S. dollar, in exchange.
So
that's going to be
difficult,
Like,
that's my question right there. Like, how would it be set up like a base? Would it be completely just disregarding the U.S. completely and just only in Africa?
Well, I don't think we could actually start off doing that. I believe that we could basically have that. If we're funneling billions of dollars, we have to have our own banks to funnel the money transaction through the continent. And it's the U.S. banks, U.S. currency, and everything like that. So the United States, I would say they're going to have some part in it. No matter where we go, because it's a U.S. entity. It's an American entity. And that also gives you some sort of protection too,
That's true.
For the whole country,
Yeah.
So we might have to use the United States. Because I don't want to go into these, oh man, it's down with America types. No. Look, we might have to fucking sit down and humble ourselves and say, we're trying to get this off the ground. The main thing is to win, right?
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we have to swallow our pride, do what the hell we got to do, And it may not be what everybody like. You may not get 100% of what you want. But if you can get like 65 or 70% I think that's pretty good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to be 100%. Let's build our stock exchange. Fuck the way. I know it's not going to be like that. We're going to have people like Goldman Sachs and all these other people involved, you know, things like that, you know?
Yeah.
You know, or the, what's his name? Was it Warren Buffett? You know, you're going to have big wigs in investing in the exchange when that want to invest on the continent and stuff like that, you know, continent. I do believe Liberia could be a good place for us to access other ventures throughout the continent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that, you know, it's all about raising capital, right? Raising capital, and then basically once you raise the capital, another thing industry to get into is diamond industry. You know, diamonds, plenty of diamonds in Africa, right? Like Liberia and everything. But the bottom line, you got to build a diamond industry, and how you build a diamond industry, you got to need financing. You know,
Yeah.
and that's what the stock exchange will come in good at. You know, from A to Z. So. It is, but I just need people just doing their homework out there, you know, help us out a little bit, you know.
I mean, I'm starting to feel you on this because I mean, with the way everything's going here in the U.S., it's like but what's going on is like reminding me so much of the '70s a little bit.
Yeah, it is what it is in America. It is what it is, man. I just, you know, like I said, the good thing about it is we're not in a desperate situation. We can sit here and plan something right now.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, the good thing is, when we start planning this and everything like that, there's nothing anybody can say to us. Before, I was like, "Oh, you crazy?" You know, we got a black president, Barack Obama. Remember those days?
Yeah, I remember that.
That's what I was up against. Barack Obama was president. I got a black man in the White House. And he won a nation, you know?
Yeah.
Now, I say, I'm glad Donald Trump's in office. Now you see why when Donald Trump's in office, you know?
Yeah.
Because the bottom line, he's the greatest marketing tool ever, you know?
Yeah,
he's the greatest marketing tool. So I'm like, yeah, look, we need an African, you know? We need to build globally. We need to, all our money goes back into the white man or not, you know, go back to, we need to build our own economic and financial infrastructure, you know?
But see, that's how the system's created, though, Colin. I mean, that's how the system was created, to only benefit the white man.
Yeah. And we basically built our own trading platform. I'm gonna do more research in that. How might that be done? Stuff like that. You know, I mean, I'm trying to get more information from other people, but how that might be done and everything like that. We want to build a trading platform and everything like that. How can it be done? I know it can be done and everything like that, but what's the legal ramification of
it? Can be done. It can be done. I mean, it's just the support. Like, we just need support, like, just on Africa, just boots on the ground in Africa. And I mean, with all this ideas, I'm with you, but I just don't want to be sabotaged. I mean,
yeah. So like I said, we just have to be planning. Like, my only problem I'll have with the stock exchange just now, a freaking Ahmed wants to come on. I'm about to go to sleep and he wants to come on now. One thing I have with the stock exchange is I want to know about the money, you know, the money, the monetary stuff like this. And also, where would the corporations be chartered out of? Like, we have a corporation.
Yeah.
It's chartered out of a state, right? A state corporation, right?
Yeah.
Well, we require the corporation to be chartered out of the United States to be listed. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
You know? So that would be a good list. Or let's say a Nigerian firm wants to be listed on the exchange, whatever like that, you know. You know, it could be like that. You know, I think any corporation we have to check out the corporation, make sure it's solvent and stuff like that, you know, to be listed on the exchange to get capital, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking, like, it needs to be able to pass not only background check, but also security clearances too.
Yeah, that's all that stuff got to be necessary. And when you hire a security company, what we need to do to make sure that they're going to give you A, B to Z, what you need to do, what's the qualifications, the ramifications, and all that stuff like that. And it has to be like that, you know, because there'll be other people that want to invest in. Let's say we got somebody has interest in Uganda, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, we got such a corporation that's working in Uganda. You know, he's listed on our exchange when our shares is going for $1 a share, whatever like that. People buy shares, whatever like that. All the shares are raised, capital's raised or not. Then the business is successful and everything. Next thing you know, the shares are worth 10 times more. They can either sell them, while other traders come in and buy the shares that they're selling, or they put them up for sale, or they basically hold on to them and collect dividends.
Yeah.
Interest and dividends, like that. So, like I said, having exchange is crucial. Why we haven't done this before, I have no fucking idea.
Well, see, I was just gonna ask you that, like they haven't done that before, or I mean.
Well, we had a Black Wall Street, which we basically did our own, borrowing money and stuff like that. In Tulsa, it was like a Black Wall Street,
Yeah.
What I'm saying? But it was on a smaller scale. It was not. We never got to the point where we had enough Black businesses and stuff like that we could raise our own capital. That would solve all our problems right now. We was able to raise our own capital and stuff like that for farm equipment and stuff like that. Imagine what our farm would be, but the whites will get in there and block it,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's what I say. Once we don't have to deal with white people anymore, we're home free. But that's what it is. All right, go ahead, Ahmed. Ahmed, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, man. What's up, man? How y'all doing?
All right.
What's on your mind?
Man, it's a lot, but nothing much. Yeah, but man, you doing good, man. You doing good, man. You doing great, man. You just need support.
I'm trying.
Yeah, man. You just need support, man.
Oh, I know that.
You just need support because people gotta understand, man. Anywhere there's people, there's money.
I
Man,
never
anywhere
knew
there's
that.
people, man, there's money, man. Anywhere there's opportunity, there's money. Man. It was one time me and Jonathan was on the line right after you ended the show. I told him straight up. I said, man, Africa is wide open to be taken, man. It's wide open to be taken.
Well, the bottom line is this. Look, this whole thing is this.
If you could get good amount of
the
people in this country, man.
Change up is we also
Man,
need to
I'm
invest
telling you,
in.
man.
Well, let me say this. We also need to invest in military companies, like Blackwater or stuff like that.
But this is the internet, man. There's no need for us to get into details like that. Of course, you know that, man. You know that. You just got to protect your asset.
We need the bottom line, because if you talk about investing all over the continent and stuff like that, you need your own what they call security firms, and people.
Yeah, of course.
Like Wells Fargo and stuff like that. Not Wells Fargo, Brinks. What's the one that carries the money? The Brinks, whatever like that.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
We need people that could handle situations and stuff like that. Transport money, transport goods, and transport this, retrieve stolen goods and stuff like that. We need something like the Wagner Group. So we need basically a lot of stuff as far as like the Afghanistan and stuff
the
like
money's
that.
there, Carla. It's just how you get good amount of people to see what you try to sell them. The money's not the issue. And my problem.
Well, I just keep doing what I'm doing, and when
it's how you get people to see what you see. Because I believe that you see something. It's just how do you put people in the same room what you see for them to believe that what you see.
Well, hopefully they see what I see. But the thing is, I'm willing to do the hard work it takes. A lot of people ain't willing to do that. I understand. Look, the thing is, Black America is worth $1.4 trillion a year, right?
Imagine that, Carla. Imagine
we're not really in the investment community, but that could change overnight.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Imagine. Black people did
oh
go
my God,
cryptocurrency very hard in Bitcoin and everything. It shows you that Black people can invest, when they want to. We always had this. There was all this myth that Black people don't invest, Black people don't invest. But
that's bullshit.
Shows you that Black people do invest. Will invest.
That's
bullshit, so the bottom line is so if we had our own exchange, whatever like that, an African exchange, African American exchange, whatever like that, it's online app. You can invest on an app like Acorn and stuff like this. and so that then basically start listing our own, get our own listing platform, whatever like that. And then
Oh man, Carla, it's just it's just, man. Look at Nike, look at Adidas. You guys can have your own Nike or Adidas, man. I'm telling you, man. People don't realize. Okay, just like some people, don't realize like how like the next, if I'm not mistaken, the next 20 years, right? Africa gonna have like I think 1 point something billion of people. Think about it, Carla. People don't realize these things, man. Where it is people, there's money.
The thing is, if we don't start to look, I put a video up there that shows the money.
Wherever there's people, there's money, man.
Basically, exporting $10 billion a year worth of Chinese companies are exporting $10 billion worth of manufactured clothing and all like that to the United States. I'm saying, to be a shithole country and $10 billion. I'm saying, what the hell is Africa doing, man? Shit. $10 billion.
Man, it's
they have special economic zones, and then Africa has AGOA. So I said, if the Chinese want to manufacture to the U.S. market, they should have it right there. So like I said, I'm looking for manufacturing. I don't care if the Chinese, whatever like that. The bottom line is continent needs money, needs jobs, and everything like that.
Man.
Let's go on exchange, whatever like that, and we, and we're investing, and the Africans are investing in us and whatnot, and we're
look at I'm gonna give you an example, right? A quick example. There's a report that I looked up, right? So in Nigeria, right, like 95% of their milk is imported. So every year it's a $2 billion industry. $2 billion just imported milk. There's so much opportunity. Like people don't realize these things.
Yeah, but you
just gotta start somewhere. It's about ownership.
A fact, you have to have a long term. Like, let's say you want to build a dairy factory, right? You got to raise the capital. You have to have a blueprint, a plan. From A to Z. What's the break even point, whatever like that. This is how much it's going to cost to finance. Line up distributors, and buyers.
Yeah, 100%. Just like every market, right? They cut you guys out. They did, you know what I'm saying? They didn't fund you guys like the way they're supposed to. They start bringing the the rules and stuff like that until the white folks took all over all these markets. You know what I'm trying to say? All that is like wide open available. All that's wide open available. I'm not lying to you. All that's wide open available.
We know that thing. Anyway, brothers, it's been a long night, man. It's like 3:30 over here. It's like 5.
So it's 3:30 up there? Oh yeah, because like 4-hour difference.
I gotta go to bed. I'm tired, man. But I hope I can be back tomorrow night. And I doubt it. I'm moving in a new place, so I'll probably be back on Saturday or Sunday night.
All right. It's crazy. Hold on. Before you end it, right? What's up with what's some of these crazy black folks, man, about Indians, man?
It's mental illness, bro.
Yeah,
mental illness.
These folks actually go on social media on that.
Because that's what social media is there for.
The
crazy people on social media. That's why I don't want to be confused with one of these crazy people. What I'm saying is right and just and everything like that. These crazy people online, they get online and say everything. Slavery never happened and all this kind of stuff like that. Crazy. They're Indian, they're Chinese,
man, call it. It's so much money, man. If you could get the right folks around you, I guarantee you, man.
Well, I know that. Yeah, man. You just keep praying for me, brother.
No problem, man.
I'll take you all later, man.
All right.
I'll see you on the next show.
All right.
Y'all take care.
Bye. All right.